I see you here waiting, Miss Jelly. I'm talking to them. This is Sun, Moon, and Signs, Secrets of the 12 Zodiacs, different Sun, Moon, astrology. It says here, if you want to learn about topics related to spirituality, then look no further. Mari Silva, this is whose audiobook this I just purchased, has made it her mission to share her extensive knowledge via easy to read books that you won't want to put down. So I've already like aired a few of her books. A lot of the books that I've aired, as far as like with the clairvoyancy and the as things like that, were all written by her in the astral projection and stuff. So if you want to learn about psychic development, lucid dreaming, third eye awakening, or any other topic related to spirituality, then first check if you can't find the topic covered by Mari Silva. That's true because every book that I've downloaded from have been from her, and I like all of them. And I always listen to a sample of them anyway before I get it. But I know that she's pretty good because, like I say, most of my books on spirituality that I be airing are by her. Now, a brief description of this audiobook. Sun signs, unlocking the secrets of the 12 zodiac signs in Western astrology to understand personality types. Moon signs, that's what I tell y'all, you we're more than a sun sign. The ultimate guide to understanding your sign, different sun, moon, astrology combinations and compatibilities. So she ain't said nothing about rising, but she might mention it because I'm a Leo rising. Do you find it difficult to relate to other people and understand how and why they think and act the way they do? Do you struggle to establish and maintain relationships and want to try a new approach? Then this audiobook will give you a comprehensive overview of the 12 zodiac signs and how they can explain our personalities and the way we relate to all sorts of people and situations. I told y'all that when I first started this platform, I started out teaching about the birth chart and everything because I have mine. I got my birth chart, my house. I know all that. I'm still learning my house system, but I know my birth chart like the back of my hand. Just about. I told everybody to get go to Castro, Cafe Astro, or one of them, and get their birth chart done. Ain't nobody did it, so I just said, "What the heck with it?" But see, this is my passion, astrology and stuff like that. So I'm always gonna be teaching something about this. Anything I teach, like my channel say, all things conscious elevation and all things spiritual. Period. Everything that I air is spiritual, spiritually based, even down to the things where I air about social issues. It's all spiritual, hidden knowledge, things that was hid from us, from the whole world, the esoteric. Now, my loves, without further ado,
Audible.
Sun, Moon, and
Sun and Moon Signs. Secrets of the 12 Zodiac Signs. Different Sun Moon astrology combinations, personality types, and compatibility. Written by Mari Silva. Narrated by Ivan Bazinius.
Oh, what?
Sun Signs. Unlocking the secrets of the 12 Zodiac Signs in Western astrology to understand personality types. Written by Mari Silva. Narrated by Ivan Bazinius. Introduction. For most people, horoscopic astrology is little more than a source of entertainment and something to help pass the time. It usually ends with reading the daily horoscope over a cup of coffee or comparing it to the day's events. This is unfortunate because it doesn't even scratch the surface of what your zodiac sign can tell you about yourself and what the signs of others can tell you about them. Everybody knows their astrological sign of the zodiac, and most people will, at some point, discuss their signs with someone as a form of small talk. But that's usually as far as the interest goes. One common misconception about zodiac signs and the horoscope is that they are all about fortune telling. In reality, there is much more that meets the eye when it comes to your zodiac sign. One of the most important things about the 12 zodiac signs is how they relate to personality types and how they can help us understand people and their feelings and actions better. The first step towards getting a better understanding of zodiac signs is learning that there are 3 groups, including sun signs, which we will discuss in this audiobook, and moon signs and rising signs, also known as ascendant signs. Each person has one sign in each of these 3 classifications, and the most committed astrologers will use all 3 to come up with the most detailed profile of a person. Sun sign astrology, which focuses on the 12 sun signs of the zodiac, is essentially a simplified way of doing things, characteristic of Western astrology. That doesn't mean it's not a sophisticated system, though. Western astrology is rooted in ancient Mesopotamia and Greece, and as such, it is over 2,000 years old. The Babylonians and the Greeks are the most credited cultures when it comes to the early development of the system, but others have also done an important part in preserving it, such as the Romans and the Arabs. Much of what has been preserved from old Hellenistic astrology is owed to the records kept by Ptolemy, a Roman mathematician, astronomer, astrologer, and geographer in the 2nd century AD. This is now known as Western astrology, and it is widely used. In that regard, astrological signs are the 12 signs that represent 30-degree sectors of the ecliptic, which is the plane of the Earth's orbit around the sun. The signs begin at something called the vernal equinox, with a sign of Aries. Without going into too much detail, the signs are based on individual constellations visible within the zodiac. This is the name that's been given to a particular belt or area that we can observe in the sky, 8 degrees north or south of the ecliptic. This is the path of the sun across the celestial sphere in the course of a year, or more precisely, to the same position. This relates to what we can observe from here on Earth. Within that same zodiac belt, we can observe the paths of the moon and the planets, all of which are important for Western astrology. But the zodiac itself is, and all the astronomical details that play a part in astrology deserve a book of their own, though. This audiobook will focus on the practical ways these different factors might affect us on a personal level. Before we delve into the 12 signs, let's clear up a few more things about what the different signs are and what additional aspects, characteristics, and classifications of these signs astrologers use to get a clear picture of a person's birth chart and how it affects them. When a person is born, the stars, planets, and the sun will be in certain positions when observed from Earth, which will determine the person's natal chart. This is how a person's sun, moon, and rising signs are identified. As we briefly mentioned, the sun sign is the one that everybody knows. As its name suggests, the sun sign is determined by the zodiac sign in which the sun can be observed on your birth date. In each sign, the sun relates to the Earth differently, affecting us all. In some signs, the sun is further away or is visible for fewer hours a day, while in others, our life-sustaining star is at its most powerful and radiant. Based on these and other properties related to each of the 12 signs, we are given certain traits and characteristics at birth, exactly what sun sign astrology studies. The position of the moon determines your moon sign. This sign influences the subtler, hidden side of your nature and identity. The moon sign can influence your emotional characteristics, especially those that you can't always express, those that remain intuition, and other things we all hear in our minds and hearts. The rising or ascendant signs are perhaps the ones you hear the least about. Your rising sign can most aptly be described as the social you, and it's the one that was on the eastern horizon at your time of birth. The sign is the social you because it is the manifestation of how you present yourself to the world. Virtually everyone does this to some extent. They dress a certain way, adopt styles, and choose which bits of their real personality they want to reveal. The things you choose to show tell a lot about you and your priorities, so many astrologers think this is an important sign to consider. Your sun sign will be enough to determine your sign's core traits. There are many reasons it's important to understand the signs of the zodiac, especially your sun sign. For one, you will get a better understanding of your strengths and weaknesses, while also learning how to make the most of them. You will gain the same insight into other people, which will help you deal with conflict in a healthier way, empathize more, and improve your existing relationships. Elements. As we explore the details and the traits of each of the 12 signs, it will become much clearer how the elements, modality, and other classifications come into play. For now, let us start by pointing out there are 4 elements, including fire, earth, air, and water. These elements are equal in importance and power, but they all rule different areas and have unique characters. These 4 elements are also called the classical elements because they were identified and described by Empedocles, a Greek philosopher in the 5th century BC. Each of the 12 zodiac signs are imbued with one of these 4 elements, and those 4 are equally distributed among the 12. The signs' elemental classifications are further divided into 2 groups according to their polarity, with fire and air signs being positive, while water and earth signs are negative. Among the positive signs, fire signs include Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, while air signs include Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. As for the negative signs, earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, while Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces have water as their element. As we explore the different signs, we will consider how the respective elements influence each sign. Modality. Among the 4 elements, each includes 3 modalities, which are cardinal, fixed, and mutable. Each modality influences 4 signs and determines a lot about their nature. Cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. These signs are also called reacting or reactive signs. The name of this class of signs suggests that they are important, symbolized by the fact that each sign marks the start of a new season. As for the fixed modality signs, these include Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. The fixed modality is associated with stability, strong will, depth, and other characteristics. One way the fixed modality affects these signs is by making them resistant to change, but you will learn later how that translates to personal traits in each sign. Finally, there are 4 mutable signs, including Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. Mutable modality has the opposite influence on that of fixed modality, largely. These signs are adaptable and flexible, among other things. These signs love to experience and influence change. What's also important for these signs is that they each mark the end of a season. The planetary rulership. Each of the 12 zodiac signs is ruled by at least 1 planet in the solar system. In the simplest terms, these are the special relationships that the zodiac signs have with celestial bodies in our system. When a person is born under a certain sign, the position of these planets can influence them in various ways. In Western astrology, each sign has classical and modern ruling planets, which are the same in all but 3 cases, these being Scorpio, Aquarius, and Pisces. Furthermore, each planet has its own properties and traits, usually embodied in the gods of many past mythologies. Planetary rulership for each sign is, for Aries, it's Mars. For Taurus is Venus. For Gemini, it's Mercury. For Cancer, it's the Moon. For Leo, it's the Sun. Virgo, it's Mercury. Libra is Venus. Scorpio has Pluto, modern, and Mars, classical. Sagittarius has Jupiter. Capricorn has Saturn. Aquarius has Uranus as modern and Saturn as classical. And Pisces has Neptune as modern and Jupiter as classical. Regarding planets, there are other factors that astrologers will consider when looking at an individual's birth chart. For instance, a planet can be exalted or in detriment in certain signs. Rulership is not to be misunderstood as meaning that a planet is guaranteed to be in a certain sign. When a planet is in a sign in which it's said to be in detriment, it will be in a weakened state, meaning it can't reach its full potential and will ultimately have a detrimental influence on the person born under such a placement. But a planet will be exalted when placed in its home sign, domicile, which means it will be strongest. And you will learn more about this later on in this audiobook. The houses. The last thing to clear up before we begin is astrological houses, which is another system of dividing the horoscope, this time into 12 parts. The positions of these houses are determined by physical location and the time of day instead of a date. As such, houses are another important factor that astrologers consider when creating someone's natal chart. The classification is rather simple, outlining 12 houses from the 1st to the 12th, all of which correspond to the 12 zodiac signs. The following is a list of the astrological houses, their corresponding zodiac signs, and one respective variation of their title each. The first house is Aries, the house of self. The second house is Taurus, the house of value. The third house is Gemini, house of sharing. The fourth house is Cancer, house of home and family. The fifth house, Leo, house of pleasure. The sixth house is Virgo, house of health. The seventh house is Libra, house of balance. Eighth house, Scorpio, house of transformation. The ninth house, Sagittarius, house of philosophy. The 10th house, Capricorn, house of enterprise. The 11th house, Aquarius, house of blessings. And the 12th house is Pisces, the house of sacrifice. Chapter 1. Aries, the ram. Experimentation, boldness, independence, honor, and initiative are the most pronounced traits that mark Aries' nature. Aries is a fire sign ruled by Mars, while it rules the first house, which are aspects that determine the sign's fiery and headstrong nature. This is why Aries' astrological symbol, which is a ram, is so fitting. Although Aries is the first of the 12 zodiac signs, the sign's date of birth falls approximately between March 21st and April 19th. The ram's modality is cardinal, which determines many of their distinct traits, especially those that impact the way they relate to others. Like the other 3 cardinal signs, Aries marks the beginning of a new season. Since that season is spring, this is generally interpreted as one of the sources of Aries' high levels of energy, motivation, and leadership skills. But Aries' fire element fuels the sign's other characteristics, such as assertiveness, passion, and occasional impulsiveness. While Mars rules it, Aries is also under the influence of many other planets in different ways. For instance, according to the Thema Moody, the old Hellenic birth chart, Aries is positioned on the chart's midhaven, the top. According to this interpretation, this position places Aries so it ensures it gets the most power out of the sun. Aries also has a modern secondary ruler represented by Pluto, just like other signs, as you'll later learn. Detrimental influence can occur when Venus or Saturn is in Aries. As such, Aries' detriment planet is primarily Venus, while its exalted celestial body is the sun itself. Personality traits. Folks born under the sign of Aries tend to be hard chargers, making them strong leaders and making their presence known everywhere they go. They are often imposing characters with a lot of energy and charisma, which rubs off on the people they encounter. This impression can be positive or negative, depending on various contexts and the traits of the people they interact with. Aries is the person who always prefers to take the initiative, break new ground, and open the path for others. This also means They are very independent-minded and self-reliant, while, at the same time, usually being led by a strong sense of honor. Because of this sign's cardinal modality, Aries also tends to be traditional and easy to reason with. Because of their combination of leadership and courage, Rams are the folks who chart the path and dare to tread where others haven't. This also means that Aries are risk takers, which often translates into success in many walks of life. Their courage is owed to the ruler Mars. Aries are generally folks with a very positive outlook on life, having the optimism and faith to always think of a way to solve a problem and the persistence to keep trying until a successful outcome or until they run out of options. Despite their capacity to be reasonable, the Rams' hard-charging, courageous nature can sometimes make them a little too quick to act. In the simplest of terms, Aries is known to be quick-tempered. Verbal and even physical outbursts are highly likely occasional. Even though their reason is quick to kick in and calm them down, and although Rams rarely hold grudges, their outbursts can sometimes cause severe damage to their relationships. Another potential Aries flaw concerns their willingness to take risks. When unchecked and unhinged, the Rams' optimism and courage can lead them down dangerous roads, both physically and metaphorically. Rams are also often impatient and restless, which can translate to various difficulties. Many Aries will find it difficult to stick with one thing, whether it's a task, a leisurely activity, or anything else. Often, an Aries will want to move on to something more stimulating before they've done with whatever they have been working on. Compatibility. The compatibility of Aries with other Aries leaves a fair amount to be desired. Primarily because of their similarity, Aries are often not very compatible with each other in love, but there can be some exceptions. Similarities can also be a solid basis for friendship or other forms of cooperation, so there are undoubtedly contexts where Aries and Aries can function properly. As for the other signs, Aries will find that some are very agreeable, while others might give them significant difficulty. Generally, Aries is the most compatible with Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, especially in romantic relationships. The compatibility with the other signs varies in how difficult it is for Aries to get along, but most relationships work out with enough understanding and effort. Despite the things that can sometimes go wrong, Aries' nature makes them very sociable, and they are usually well-liked. Because they are outgoing and communicative, Rams are fun, and their energy has a way of rubbing off on other people. As dominant as they might be, Aries folks are still magnanimous, and as we mentioned, honorable. Often, this makes them very good partners, friends, co-workers, and acquaintances. Aries can run into problems with people with little patience for their high levels of energy and their imposing character. Those who are rebellious by nature can get defensive if they sense that the Aries' domineering personality is a threat to their independence or their pride. Such encounters can be especially problematic if an Aries has fallen into a few traps that you've learned about. In extreme cases, Aries can become too bossy or even turn into bullies. When they run into folks who want to assert themselves and push back, serious conflicts can erupt. Love. The Rams' headstrong, courageous, and fiery nature is usually quite pronounced in their love life and can come as either shocking or refreshing to the other party. If you are a Ram, then you are likely to have experienced this drive already. Like elsewhere in life, Aries has no problem getting into a relationship, even if it entails risk or involves a lot of uncharted territories. They will give things a chance and try to make it work, especially if they feel strongly about a person. Once in a relationship with someone, the Ram's unrestrained openness will continue. Aries will clearly, loudly, and fearlessly express their feelings, and their approach will be the same with commitment, because they aren't afraid to get serious about a person. This all makes Aries very passionate in love and can provide for many romantic moments. What's more, The person who experiences this onslaught of love from Aries will feel like they are at the top of the world. Some signs will enjoy that, but others who are more concerned about consequences and prefer to think in the long term might get to feeling uncomfortable with Aries' relentless onward charge. On the flip side, this uninhibited approach can also lead to a fair bit of blindness, which can be a hurtful and dangerous thing in love. This can eventually lead to problems, not just for other people, but also for the Aries themselves. Aries has that rational side, but, as we mentioned earlier, their headstrong, hard-charging nature can often overcome. The things the Ram says to a partner and the openness of their emotion can feed that other person's blind love. This is especially likely to happen when a relationship is between two Rams. That's why Aries can greatly benefit from a calculated and highly rational partner. But when all is said and done, Aries will make a highly dynamic, passionate, honest, and fun partner. Other relationships. Aries' loyalty is what makes him very adept at all sorts of relationships other than romantic ones. Rams make great friends and are usually very devoted to their family. This is true even when it doesn't translate into a functioning relationship. Aries can get caught up in their worldly pursuits and unwittingly neglect the people who matter for some time before they check in again. In Aries' mind, nothing is wrong, and the situation is normal. But other signs can take this distance to heart. But under the surface, Aries will have no doubt as to where their loyalties lie. Aries is a fiery sign that can get heated and blow a fuse quickly. This temper can hinder relationships, especially with their family members. Not seeing eyes off and lead to conflict. Again, though, Aries will remain loyal, and when push comes to shove, they will be there for their loved ones. If you have Aries children, you must consider the traits that we've discussed from an early age. These children are outgoing, proactive, and they will aim to assert themselves among peers. An Aries child should be taught discipline from as early as possible, because this nature can lead an undisciplined Aries child into much trouble. On the flip side of that coin, Aries makes passionately devoted parents, but their temper can be a problem. Children that require a calculated, patient approach can suffer if their Aries parent doesn't learn to be less reactive, especially when they are too quick to apply punishment. Finally, Aries won't have a lot of difficulties in making friends wherever they go. Aries, being a fiery, thrill-seeking individual who needs change and spontaneity, their friends must know how to keep up to keep the friendship going. Work. Aries perfection professionals are those where their individuality, self-reliance, confidence, risk-taking, and desire for thrills can all be fully realized. Careers that aren't stimulating and dynamic can feel like a prison sentence for Aries. Above all, Aries should avoid jobs that entail a lot of routines and require a person to spend a lot of time on small details. The only way Aries can hold this type of job and maintain a semblance of fulfillment is by compensating with copious amounts of adventure, exercise, and excitement in their personal life outside of work. As you can probably deduce, Aries folks tend to be right at home in the military, in the police, or other high-intensity jobs. It's not just that these jobs are stimulating and intense, though. Aries craves a simple and clear purpose that these jobs can provide, and often they will enjoy fighting under that purpose. Other emergency services are also natural callings for Aries, whether it's a firefighter, emergency medical personnel, or rescue services. Aries will also do well when they dedicate their life to highly competitive sports, especially boxing, martial arts, and wrestling. These disciplines give Aries ample opportunity to fight and do so with integrity, while also striving to be the best version of themselves, both physically and mentally. Mars, usually treated as the god of war, influences the affinities in Aries. In the workplace, Aries will shine with their gift of leadership, and they will have no problem asserting themselves. If they don't slip into any of their negative extremes, Aries folks can make outstanding supervisors of all sorts. They will have the confidence to lead, but more important, they will have the understanding and the willingness to help and to counsel their subordinates. Aries has the potential to be the best bosses ever. If they lose their balance and succumb to those potential flaws, though, they can be a nightmare to work with, let alone work under. Getting along with an Aries. Well, to get along with an Aries, it is important to have respect, to be honest, and have a thick skin. As you've learned, Aries can be very honest, quick-tempered, and dominant. When combined, these factors can make them say and do harsh things that they might regret later. To get along with Aries, you must be prepared for such incidents. It will be important that you react rationally, but also assertively, all while not adding your own fuel to the fire. Aries will respect you for holding your own, but he or she will also see reason more easily if you keep a clear head and if you stay in control. It's also a good idea to let Aries decide on the details of your plans, such as the time and place of a meeting, for instance. It's not a matter of feeding their ego, though. Let them take charge, because they are usually the most adventurous person in the room. Plus, Aries is at their best when taking charge, so you are likely to have more fun with them than you would otherwise. Your best bet is to keep an open mind and try to be flexible. For getting along with an Aries, nature will luckily be on your side. These folks are simply easy to get along with by their very personality. If you can keep up with the excitement and the energy, you will find you need not do anything special. Most of the time, Aries will befriend you or establish communication before you've even had time to plan out your approach. It's just what they do. Chapter 2. Taurus, the Bull. If Aries is a fan of challenges and enjoys a rush at getting into a new one, Taurus is the person who focuses on the rewards that the challenge might bring. If you are a Taurus, you are likely a diligent and goal-oriented person, strongly focusing on getting as much enjoyment from life as possible. With a birth range between April 20th and May 20th, Taurus is the second sign of the Zodiac, and it is associated with the second house. Represented by the Bull constellation, the sign of Taurus is ruled by Venus. Its element is Earth, and its modality is fixed. Taurians' distinct characteristics include intelligence, diligence, dedication, stubbornness, dependability, and work ethic. Taurus's fixed modality blesses those born under the sign with stability that can manifest in many ways. Varying from one person to the next, Taurus is the first of 4 fixed signs, all of which occupy a place in the middle of each of the 4 seasons. The sign's earth element, being the most solid and firm of the 4, is what infuses Taurus with things like patience, dependability, and consistency. Taurus's Venus domicile influences Taurians' inclination towards accumulation and the creation of all those things that pleases them. The second house, also known as the house of value, or the house of security and wealth, has a lot to do with the priorities that Taurians set for themselves in life. Taurus can come under some detrimental influence if Mars enters the sign, particularly by taking some of Taurus's traits into a harmful extreme. Taurus's stability can thus turn into too much tolerance and eventually make them complacent. This can affect both their interaction with people and their outlook on life, affecting things like motivation, outspokenness, and a willingness to tackle problems. Personality traits. Taurus is typically the person who knows how to live a good life, so to speak. These are folks who have a high appreciation for all those finer things in life that make our existence more comfortable. Physical pleasures, material goods, overall comfort, and satisfaction of their sophisticated taste are only a few things that people born under Taurus's sign will seek in their lives. Simply put, the reward is one of the most important things for a Taurus. Now, that's not to say that Tauruses expect life's rewards and pleasures to come freely. Quite the contrary. If you are a Taurus, you probably are a hard worker. People born under this sign are not reluctant to put the work in, and they are very meticulous, practical, and dedicated to their obligations. Another common trait found in Taurus people is that they are down to earth. This means that it's difficult for them to get carried away and lost in fantasies or unrealistic ideals. As such, a Taurus is focused on the here and the now, and on getting the job done. Stability, in its many manifestations, is an important part of Taurus's character. Sometimes called the anchor of the Zodiac, bulls tend to be consistent and reliable. Honesty is another positive trait that most Taurians have, but also expect from others. As for negative traits, a Taurus can go array when some traits that can otherwise be viewed as virtues go to the extreme. As such, Taurians have been known to be too stubborn. Some are prone to obsessive behavior when their commitment and dedication leaves the realm of rationality. Of course, their love of pleasure and comfort is something else that can end quite badly if it goes too far, particularly when it turns into the greed of unrestrained hedonism. Compatibility. Taurus's compatibility is at its best when they are dealing with earth and water signs. Water signs complement Taurians with emotional sophistication and a healthy dose of vulnerability, which translates to openness when it is within reason. In a relationship between Taurus and Cancer, for instance, Cancer's nurturing personality will be very healthy for the Taurian. On the other hand, Cancer will appreciate Taurus's dependability and support. With Pisces, Taurus's life will be enriched by spirituality and philosophy, elevating the bull's overall awareness. With this influence, Taurians can leave their comfort zone in a new, highly productive way. In return, the bull will provide Pisces with grounding to keep them from losing sight of reality when they delve into their abstraction. Taurus can also enjoy a very fulfilling romantic relationship with Scorpio, especially regarding sexuality. With earth signs, Taurians will get along very well with other folks under the same signs. Their greatest agreement will be regarding lifestyle and enjoyment of worldly comforts. Virgo is another sign with which Taurians can have a great and highly complementary relationship. The indulgent Taurian will benefit from Virgo's health advice, while the bull's life philosophy can rub off on Virgo and alleviate some of this sign's anxieties. The constructive and authoritative Capricorn is materially oriented, just like Taurus. These two signs will work well together towards a common material goal, but both signs are also rather sensual. So there is a lot of potential for intimacy. Taurians might enjoy the energetic nature of fire signs for a while.
I can't tell you no lie. The Taurus that I was going with, baby, when I tell you when we got together, the sex was off the motherfucking chain. That's the one my husband caught me with. Booyah.
But they will eventually tire of the volatility and potential instability that these signs might bring into life.
He said just don't make no sense for this pussy to be this weird.
The Aries impatience, Sagittarius yearning for frequent change, and Leo's stubbornness can often be too much for the stable and grounded Taurus. Similarly, air signs can prove way too fast and restless for the bull. The methodical Taurus appreciates consistency and order, which they are unlikely to get from the often hectic Gemini. Because Venus rules both, Taurus and Libra will share certain interests. Libra's propensity for spontaneity, but is a fundamental difference between the two. Aquarius is another sign that Taurians might get along with. They probably won't, though, in the long run, mostly because of a conflict between their value systems.
Right.
So let's look at love.
See, now you see how true this is. This narcissist here is an Aquarius. I guess that's why we can't get along because I'm Earth sign Capricorn, he an Aquarius.
Since Taurus's ruling planet Venus is also the goddess of love, this zodiac sign does well in romantic relationships. Among other things, this influence makes most Taurus folks romantic, or at least appreciative of a romance. Taurus's adeptness at relationship is about much more than just propensity for romantic moments, though. Another great contributor to their success in this field is their honesty. Bulls are also meticulous and diligent in love, just like in everything else. And this applies not just to maintain their relationships, but also to get them started. Unlike Aries, a Taurus will never let excitement get the better of them and make them rush blindly into anything, least of all, a romantic relationship. Even in matters of love, Taurians tend to maintain their rationality and be the voice of reason. When a Taurus doesn't see the potential in a relationship proposal, he or she will act on that concern. This will often come across as cold, but it can save both the Taurus and the other person a lot of trouble in the long run. Even after they do get into a relationship, Taurians will keep using the brakes, and they will take things slow. If you find yourself in a relationship with a Taurus, and he or she seems distant at first, it is important to keep in mind that they simply take time to open up and consolidate the connection. Once they do, you will find that a Taurus's honesty, loyalty, and commitment will make for a reliable, loving partner that gets into relationships for the long run. Unlike other signs such as Aries, who tend to get restless staying in one place for too long, a Taurus will cherish their relationship. The bull will draw satisfaction from working to build that relationship into something that gets even stronger. The only problem is that sometimes Taurians might fall victim to perfectionism and set unrealistic expectations, not just for their partner, but for human relationships as a whole. So let's look at other relationships. Taurus's dependability, stability, and trustworthiness are qualities that make them excellent friends. They usually take time to get comfortable and personal with someone new, but once a meaningful connection and trust are established, Taurus will open up and demonstrate the true meaning of friendship and loyalty. Taurus will be the friend who need not hang out with you every night, but if you call, needing urgent help, your Taurian friend will be there at 3 o'clock in the morning if necessary. Taurus's well-intentioned, honest nature makes their friendship valuable in a way that you can't get from any other folks, no matter how much fun they might be. Taurus won't lie to you to make you feel comfortable, for instance. Instead, he or she will give you their honest opinion and advice, all of which will help you grow as a person. Many of the Taurian virtues will certainly be valuable in workplace relationships, especially reliability, honesty, and stability. Taurus is the last person who will get into petty office drama, talk about you behind your back, or bother with other schemes. The Taurian will be too busy focusing on their work and making sure they are getting the job done right. As such, Taurus is the person to go to for advice, for guidance, and for entrusting important, complex projects.
Like me, like in my family, my niece in Miami is a Taurus, and me and her we grew up together. And me and her always been like two peas in a pod. And then my nephew, he's a Capricorn, and his daddy, which is my brother, they both Capricorns, and we all three we closer than anybody than my other brothers and sisters ever been. I guess because we Capricorns, we Tauruses and stuff. But yeah, I've always been drawn to Capricorns and Tauruses.
People who value,
like I say, I'm a Cap Sun, Taurus Moon. I'm a Leo rising.
value diligence,
And Steve, you still ain't got your birth chart yet, have you?
hard work, and a no-nonsense attitude will have no problems with a Taurian coworker, even though they prefer to work independently. If a team is cohesive, well organized, and runs like a clock, Taurus will certainly have no problem fitting in. Since Taurus loves to unwind after a hard day's work and indulges in worldly comforts, they will also be more than willing to partake in fun times with their colleagues. Work. The methodical Taurus is at his or her best when assigned to one big project that requires long-term dedication, planning, and focus. Taurians will enjoy building, both physically and mentally, but they do usually enjoy work that requires a more hands-on approach. Taurians also don't shy away from routine, at least to a certain degree. What they thrive on is structure and consistency, which a routine can provide. But if it's on the wrong job, the bull will find it difficult to get excited about their work. Taurus would probably do poorly in a work environment that Aries would enjoy. Taurians prefer as little chaos and distractions as possible in their workspace. If you have a job requiring a long, thorough, concentrated approach, you give that job to Taurus. Remember that Taurus also relishes in rewards. So the longer and more difficult a job is, the more they will enjoy the reward at the end. The job, or the feeling of having done it, can be rewarded in and of themselves for Taurus. Taurians usually enjoy jobs that require them to care for others, because they are stable individuals, good at giving support to those in need. Because of their love of quiet environments and their earthy nature, Taurians also enjoy working in outdoor natural environments. Gardening, farming, and ranching are other jobs and lifestyles that Taurians enjoy immensely. Trades like carpentry are also virtually perfect for Taurians because they allow them to work with their hands, take their time, and focus on their work in the quiet comfort of their work shed. Getting along with a Taurus. Well, getting along with a Taurus largely revolves around knowing how to approach and get closer to them. If you were born under one of the other signs, a Taurus might seem difficult to relate to. But that's just because they have a strict filter that determines who is and who isn't allowed into their life. But with a bit of effort, it wouldn't be too difficult to learn that they are normal and a relatable person. A great place to start is to find some...
That's true. Tauruses do like to work with their hands. My Taurus, I still call him a Taurus, but cause me and him friends. He a truck driver. He like to work with his hands too. He always doing something. Even when he home, he married too. Shit. Even when he home, he out there in the yard cleaning. Doing something for his damn family. I said, boy, you gotta learn how to say no sometimes, boy.
Common ground. And the best way to do that with a Taurus is to remember that they are people who work and play hard. Participating in the same work project or sharing professional interests are good ways to bond with a Taurus. They also tend to bond well with those who accompany them when having a good time and unwinding. Since Taurians ascribe so much importance to enjoyment and pleasure, they usually form strong, pleasant memories of such experiences. Finding your way into those memories is a great way to inch closer to a Taurus's heart. Taurians will also sometimes use their own vetting system to determine who should be allowed into their lives and who shouldn't. Many such Taurians will do this without even thinking about it, since it comes naturally to them. But others will have an intricate system of questions and subtle little tests that they knowingly use whenever they meet someone new. Most people won't even be aware that they are being tested and evaluated, but the bull will be picking up important pieces of information that will help them determine whether you are up to the standards they expect from people looking to become their friends, or maybe even something more. Once you establish any relationship with a Taurus, you must remember that they can be stubborn. If a Taurian believes that they are right about something, they won't change their tune to make their friend or partner feel more comfortable. Without strong argumentation, a Taurus's mind can hardly ever be changed. Chapter 3. Gemini, the twins. The third sign's astrological symbol, the twins, is befitting because it hints at Gemini's nature, which can come across as dual to other people. Sometimes that nature can appear to be even more complicated than just dual, because Geminis can be the most incomprehensible folks out there, particularly from the perspective of other signs. This is because with traits, Geminis have the widest and most variable range. Of all the signs in the zodiac, Gemini is the most difficult to define due to a frequent lack of that one definitive trait that other signs.
Yeah, Gemini, them motherfuckers got split personality for real, man. I dated a Gemini once. That motherfucker crazy as hell. I mean, just a for real split personality. 1 minute he all one way, the next minute he was a different person. And on top of that, he had PTSD too from being in the military. Oh boy, you know that had to end.
Usually have. Whereas you can usually tell an Aries by their leadership skills, a Gemini can come as quite a surprise. The Gemini season falls between May 21st and June 21st, and it's ruled by Mercury. Gemini is associated with the third house and is an air sign of mutable modality. The sign's association with the third house is what conditions Gemini's intellectual and curious nature when such is manifested. Being the first of the mutable signs is what makes Gemini adaptable and prone to change, as is appropriate for a sign that occupies a transitional time between spring and summer. Just as nature restlessly strives to bloom and achieve its maximum during this time, Gemini seeks change and novelty. Gemini's nature is also reflected in elemental air, which is flowing, active, and difficult to define.
See?
Like air, Gemini wants to be everywhere and experience everything at once.
Yep.
If only they could. Gemini's ruling.
See, that's me. That's why I be all over the place, family. That's why I be going from here to here to there, because I'm a grand trine in air and fire. Good thing I'm a Capricorn sun and a Taurus moon, because that earth trying to keep me kind of balanced, keep me kind of grounded. Because in that fire, that's that passion, that hot fire, Leo, Sagittarius, Aries, grand trine and there. But that damn air, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini, Gemini, Mars, Libra, Pluto, Aquarius, Mercury. That's why I'm always, y'all notice it, all day long, I be doing one thing. I be doing different things because that's that air element in me. I'm always all over the place. That's what I'm telling you, y'all. At birth, try to help you understand who you really are.
Planet 2 resembles the nature of the twins, being very fast and retrograde more often than any other planet in the solar system. As such, Mercury in Gemini has a lot to do with the sign's restlessness, curiosity, quick absorption of new information, and wit. The personality traits. Well, as you've just learned, Geminis can be quite variable by nature. Still, a few Gemini strengths and weaknesses can be outlined, which will often apply to the Geminis you might run into. Overall, that of the most common Gemini traits include adaptability, openness, and intelligence, but sometimes also indecisiveness, unreliability, and impulsiveness. The curiosity can lead a Gemini on a path to becoming overly nosy. Their nosiness can combine with unreliability and an inclination towards gossiping, which makes Geminis not very good to confide in. This is because many Geminis love to share the information that they've gathered on their eternal quest to get as clever as they can. Many simply love to talk, and they enjoy the attention they can get this way, which is why they try to collect the most interesting information that they can. One of Gemini's greatest strengths is often their adaptability. Adaptable Geminis enjoy trying new things and getting on adventures. Their occasional unreliability can be somewhat compensated for by their ability to adapt to all changes of schedule. If you must change plans suddenly, your Gemini friend will probably have no problem shuffling a few things around and getting down with a new program. As such, a Gemini can be very easygoing, laid back, agreeable, and above all, fun. The unreliability they sometimes exhibit usually stems from their inability to commit to things. Their ability to adapt to changes of plans often means they will frequently cancel on you. This can be quite a problem between you and a Gemini friend, if you do like strict schedules that are set in stone. This fear of commitment can also make it difficult for Geminis to stick with their tasks and accomplish them before shifting their focus to something else. It's a form of impulsivity that differs from that of Aries, but it can lead to many of the same problematic outcomes, including rash purchases, getting into dangerous situations, and other unfortunate scenarios. Compatibility. Just as air feeds fire, so will Geminis find ways to have a meaningful bond with many fire signs. These relationships and bonds tend to be complementary, based on understanding and mutual completion. Being impulsive and energetic, an Aries will have a lot of understanding of Gemini's restless nature. Leo and Sagittarius, the other two fire signs, can sometimes be very compatible with Geminis, but it might take some work. Gemini is highly compatible with air signs, especially Libra. Libra has a way of introducing balance into a Gemini's life. He or she will also bolster Gemini's own sociability, which can make life very fulfilling for Geminis because of the enjoyment they will get from meeting new people and learning new information. Plus, Gemini's love of conversation is another factor that makes them fit so well with the sociable Libra. Geminis also get along well with Aquarians, especially in conversations and the exchange of concepts, since both signs enjoy intellectual stimulation. Things can also get rather interesting when a Gemini runs into another Gemini, particularly when both exhibit traits like curiosity. Among water signs, all three might function with a Gemini, but they all possess certain traits that can easily become a source of problems. For instance, Cancers might disagree with a Gemini in marriage due to the latter's propensity to pay less attention to their home and instead seek outside socialization. Pisces too often have a rather private nature, which can easily come to blows with a Gemini's sociable attitude. Gemini's sociability also has the potential to provoke Scorpio's penchant for jealousy. With Earth signs, Geminis tend to have a lot of difficulty relating to them. But if enough lucky stars are aligned and enough effort is exerted, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo can all function as a great stabilizing force in an otherwise hyperactive and hectic life of a Gemini. Let's look at love. Now, suppose you're trying to get into a relationship with a Gemini. In that case, you should know that they are curious, highly active, adventurous, and they will turn every relationship into a roller coaster ride. Because of their variable and changeable nature, Geminis can also be very unpredictable. Chapter 5, Leo, the Lion.
I got to do my rising.
As the fifth sign of the Zodiac and the rulers of the fifth house, lions are born between July 23rd and August 22nd. This fixed fire sign is ruled by the sun, which ensures copious reserves of energy, drive, motivation, and ambition, all of which will rub off on those around them. This is no surprise, as the season of Leo more or less encapsulates the very height of summer. Leo,
I got to do my main signs first, then I come back to all y'all others. Of course, y'all know I'm a favor my signs, my positions and stuff. This is my chart. You know that, right? I'm a little conceited. So y'all gonna hear, y'all done heard Taurus and Aries. So y'all finna hear Leo, which is my rising. We're gonna skip to Scorpio, which is my north node in my Uranus, because your north node is an important placement also in your chart. Then Sagittarius, which is my Venus and Neptune. Venus is the planet of love, so you must always check your Venus sign. See what I'm saying? And then of course I'm gonna check my Capricorn because that's my sun sign. Then with all the rest of y'all will come up. And I go to Pisces because Pisces, I have Pisces in the ninth house, Virgo in the third house. But I'll go ahead, since I'm on that end, I go ahead and I do Pisces, and then we'll go back around to Gemini.
Those are folks who generally enjoy being the center of attention, and they always do their best to make the best impression they can. Under their relationship with the sun, Leos themselves are proverbially radiant, at least with their confidence and pride. The sun's central position in our solar system is also symbolic of how Leo is often at the center of attention, the center of community, or the center of his family. Leo can come under detrimental influence when Saturn enters the sign. Saturn rules Aquarius, the opposite of Leo, and it influences traits like restraint and wisdom. As such, Saturn will be a long way from home when it enters prideful, outgoing, and restless Leo. Therefore, folks who are born with Saturn in Leo must go the extra mile and try to find balance in their life. For them, it will be especially important to learn discipline, which can sometimes be taken too far into overcompensation. When that happens, Leo can become overly critical of themselves or too inhibited, both of which are contrary to the sign's true nature. The personality traits. Well, Leos are assertive and tend to be extroverted, or at least highly capable and willing to interact with the outside world. Leo's fixed modality means that these folks are capable of great persistence and stubbornness, making them likely to commit to their efforts until the job is done. Overall, Leo's personality's most positive and pronounced defining characteristics are confidence, courage, and boldness. Leos never seem to lack enthusiasm, not just for whatever they happen to be doing in each moment, but also for life in general. Leo can always reach within and find assurance in themselves, where others might require support or reassurance from external sources. Not only that, but Leos are also often the folks who support, reassure, and encourage other people. Besides being proud and having a strong sense of self-worth, Leos find worth in others. If you have a virtue that you are neglecting or a talent that you aren't developing, a Leo will be sure to point it out and help you make the most of your qualities. Leos are also generous people who make good leaders in their own way. Leo might not be the person who organizes a team effort or manages the whole show, but they will do an excellent job of motivating and encouraging everybody in the room. What they lack in administrative skills, Leos will make up in their ability to inspire a crowd. Leo's fixed modality and pride can lead to negative outcomes as well. Some Leos can be a bit too committed to a certain cause or an idea, which can make them pursue it even when the rational part of their brain tells them to stop. When you add pride to this equation, it is easy to see how Leos can go astray, never admitting a mistake. Leos, with this flaw, can benefit greatly from learning to be better listeners. As confident as he or she always appears, the lion can also be insecure. Their love of the spotlight and the praise it can bring can turn into dependence on compliments and an obsession with other people's opinions. Leos will rarely show such insecurity, and those around them will be none the wiser, but they will suffer immensely if they do go down this road. Leos with this problem can also get rather upset.
Anybody in here? Y'all don't left me? Well, I'm listening because I love astrology. If y'all want to hear, y'all can always double back.
Obsessive and jealous in a romantic relationship. Let's look at compatibility. Leos naturally make for a good combination with most folks belonging to the fire and air signs, while problems are more likely to arise with the other two groups. Being a fire sign, Leo is driven by the same boldness, impulsiveness, and assertiveness as Aries and Sagittarius, which makes them highly compatible. So if you're a Leo running into another one of your kind, you will likely find common ground in creativity. One potential source of conflict between the two Leos is the sign's love of the spotlight. A Leo usually won't take kindly to another lion stealing their spotlight and pushing them to the margins. As such, interactions between Leos can give rise to great rivalries.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
Which might not always be bad if the rivalry is healthy and productive. But when taken to unhealthy extremes, well, rivalries tend to spiral into conflict. Air signs tend to function well with Leo, just as air feeds the fire. The relation between Leo and air signs translates as the energy this sign can absorb from air signs to become stronger and overall better. As someone who likes the spotlight, Leo can benefit from Gemini and Libra's sociable and curious natures. Aquarius can do an excellent job of bringing more objectivity, more thoughtfulness, and level-headedness to a lion's life. Like in a few other cases, the connection between Leo and Aquarius is often an attraction of opposites. When Aquarius thinks too much and gets lost in the woods of their own mind, Leo will pull them back out. And when Leo gets too restless and carried away, Aquarius will remind them of the virtue of patience and objectivity. Leos are generally likely to run into issues with water signs. The nurturing Cancer, for instance, can give Leo the care and the calm that the lion wants, but they will eventually disagree when Leo's outgoing nature conflicts with Cancer's preference to stay focused on the home. The situation won't differ greatly from Pisces and Scorpio, as both can enrich Leo's life, but disagreements are likely to arise. Scorpio's possessiveness is especially problematic, which can combine with Leo's jealousy into a rather problematic relationship. But Earth signs can give Leos the stability they need in life, but they are generally a poor match in intimate relationships. As co-workers, though, Leos can function rather well with Earth signs, although Taurus's stubbornness can be a significant problem. Love. Well, Leos are very expressive, and they tend to be direct. So, you will usually know where you stand with them. If a Leo has feelings for you, they'll let you know exactly what's going on, unless they're employing some strategy. Leos are also very passionate in love, which is why relationships with them can be intense, especially during the proverbial honeymoon phase. Since Leo loves to share their enthusiasm and inspire all the people around them, you can expect this is a major aspect of Leo's romance. Don't let their excited, fun-loving demeanor fool you, though, as Leos will undoubtedly demand you to be fully committed and fully devoted. Leo enjoys attention too, so their partner must be able and willing to provide it. Still, passion is one of the most important things in relationships as far as a Leo is concerned, so their partners need to keep up. But Leo's energy and enthusiasm can get a little too intense, even for generally outgoing and energetic signs. So, if you ever end up in a relationship with a Leo, you should also be able to assert your own wishes, because your Leo might get caught up in their excitement and forget all about what you need and what you want. Now, it's not that Leo doesn't care about their partner, though. It's just that the lion can get a bit more self-involved than the average person, and it can be difficult for them to stay in touch with their lover's wishes if they aren't able to make these wishes known. Therefore, Leo's partner should be open and direct, as it's the best way to avoid any misunderstandings. Other relationships. Being a good friend of Leo's is something rather special, not because it's difficult to get close to them, but because they are such a people magnet. The charismatic Leo will make friends wherever they go in life, so it is difficult to make your way through the crowd and become a close and indispensable friend of the lion. Leo is the opposite of Cancer. A Leo likes as wide of a circle of friends as possible, which they get without making a conscious effort to build that circle. Leo's friends are also very diverse and can include all sorts of characters. The lion tends to be the center of attention in that circle. Leo's the life of the party, so many people they attract are just along for the good ride because they like fun. In a sea of acquaintances, Leo will generally know to appreciate those who are their real friends. Regardless of how many new acquaintances they make, at the end of the day, Leo will always be there for a friend in need, because they are loyal and dependable. Of course, Leo's character and likability translate well into business relationships too. Leos bring energy, creativity, inspiration, and leadership to their workplace. Leos make solid supervisors, especially if they have the professional skills as well and understand the ins and outs of a project. With technical knowledge and their people skills, Leos can build very efficient teams and do a lot of big things. Still, the assertive and confident Leo can sometimes be misunderstood as bossy or egocentric, but this will rarely be the case once you get to know them. Work? Leo's love of attention and spotlight can already give you quite a few ideas about the jobs that they will enjoy. Since they are also creative, they do well as performers of all sorts, ranging from stand-up comedians to musicians to actors and to any other artists. Their colorful personality and confidence can sometimes combine with a knack for business, so Leos can end up as rather successful salespeople. Other jobs that rely on charm, character, and power of persuasion are also generally well suited for the lion. For Leo, having their personality and character bogged down in a boring job where their qualities are buried under a strict, endless routine would be very difficult to live with. At the very least, Leo's job needs to be dynamic and stimulating, but the ideal is undoubtedly a career they are at the center of. Leos make successful politicians and lawyers as well, for very obvious reasons. Both lines of work allow Leo to fulfill yet another one of their passions, which is to inspire folks. Some Leos will look for a career solely based on that, making them good inspirational speakers and many good coaches. Like Taurians, Leos enjoy luxuries and other fine things in life, all of which cost money. When Leo finds a perfect career and gets to work, though, he or she will have no problem making that money. Still, these material gains and comforts are merely a perk, and a lion would never be content with living in a cage, no matter how big of a salary he was offered. If a job is boring and it doesn't allow their great character to shine and rub off on other people, it will be a dead-end job as far as Leo is concerned. Getting along with a Leo. Well, almost everyone can get along with a Leo, but it's relating to a Leo that might be difficult for some signs. But Leos aren't complicated, and generally they're very agreeable without too much effort. The first and foremost thing is to be direct, as we briefly mentioned above. The more honest and upfront you are about your wishes, your intentions, your concerns, or actually anything else on your mind, the better quality of communication you will have with a Leo. Leos generally have little patience for subtlety, mind games, or ambiguousness. What's also important is to just let Leo be what they really are. Leos are enthusiastic, they're fun-loving, and they're generous folks, so you need to allow them to be themselves in this regard. Try to avoid making it a big deal if they give you gifts, for instance. Instead, just roll with it and give Leo your thanks. Sometimes, Leo's friends must give them criticism or pull them back in some way. But do your best not to rain on Leo's parade unless you really must. Leos expect their friends to partake in their fun and share their joy. So if your Leo friend isn't doing anything dangerous, don't shoot them down just because you don't find it fun. Leos also like to be encouraged, appreciated, and to be told kind words. If you are someone important in Leo's life, remember that these folks care about approval and confirmation. When Leos are doing something, receiving encouragement and positive feedback from people who matter can be a powerful boost. Chapter 6, Virgo, the Maiden. Chapter 8, Scorpio, the Scorpion. Symbolized by the scorpion and originating from the Scorpius constellation, Scorpios are born between October 23rd and November 21st. This water sign has a fixed modality and is ruled by both Mars and Pluto, all while occupying the 8th house. As for symbolism, Scorpio's constellation has been observed and pondered over since ancient Babylon. This constellation includes a particular red star called Antares. In many traditions, this has been considered the so-called heart of the scorpion, and a rival to Mars. Scorpio's nature is further symbolized by the season that the sign occupies in the western tropical zodiac and the northern hemisphere, which is one where the sun's energy weakens and darkness gains ground against the light. Just like this season, Scorpio can at times appear dark, shadowy, and above all, mysterious. Not that Scorpios are always melancholic or morose like autumn, but they are largely inward-oriented, so they might give off that impression. As always, modality and element are important influences that shape the nature of Scorpio. As a third of the fourth fixed signs that occupies a position in the middle of autumn, Scorpio is often the most fixed of all four. This is a source of many of Scorpio's strengths, but also weaknesses. Scorpio's water element is usually the influence that balances its fixed modality and blesses a sign with creativity, an investigative mind, and intuition. Scorpio is another sign with dual rulership. According to classical astrology, Mars rules Scorpio just like Aries, but it also has a modern ruler in Pluto. The reason this ruling planet is labeled as the modern ruler is that Pluto was discovered in 1930. In classical astrological tradition, Scorpio is the nocturnal domicile of Mars, while Aries is the diurnal one. This means that Mars's influence in Aries is pronounced, loud, and obvious to all, while in Scorpio, it's subtle and hidden, like second nature. Scorpio has the same capacity for aggression and strong ambition as Aries, but Scorpio will be much more calculated and reserved in how he or she uses these powers, being the proverbial dog that doesn't bark, but can certainly bite. The co-ruling Pluto brings some of the themes and aspects characteristic of Scorpio's life, including deep introspection, destruction, and power. Let's look at the personality traits. Scorpios are curious individuals who love to investigate things and investigate other people. They are the people who ask the real questions and have little use for pointless chatter and trivial questions that comprise little more than small talk. Somehow, Scorpio always gets right down to the gist of things and knows how to uncover all that is underlying. Besides their investigative and curious minds, Scorpios are also led by strong and accurate intuition. Often, Scorpio will be a hard worker and a person with strong determination who knows devotion. Because of their diligence, their hard work, creativity, and investigative minds, Scorpios are often found conducting research or undertaking various studies. The Scorpion is the kind of person who takes a job and makes darn sure that the task is completed. Scorpios are also known for their patience and calculation in everything they do, especially when interacting with other people. Scorpios can sometimes come across as edgy, shady, or cold, but this is just a natural facade resulting from their inward orientation and deep contemplation. As such, Scorpio can often be the proverbial outsider and someone whom others will consider to be peculiar. Scorpio is more than capable of establishing deep, meaningful bonds with other people. Once someone enters their world and a bond is formed, Scorpio unveils limitless passion and devotion. While it can be difficult for you to earn a Scorpio's trust, it will become clear that the effort was worthwhile once you do. One of the potential problems with Scorpios is the detriment of Venus, the goddess of love. When Venus enters this sign, Scorpio can be thrown way out of balance, especially in their capacity to love and connect with another person. Individuals with this placement have too much love and affection or too little of it, sometimes even coming into conflict with social norms in both cases. Scorpios can also become problematic when their devotion and hard work turn into obsessions. These Scorpios are liable to become too rigid, and any meaningful change can be very difficult for them. The same can apply to Scorpios' unwillingness to let new people into their life, as they can be notoriously slow to trust someone. Scorpios are also often the people who have a keen interest in all things dark, which sometimes can make them overly focus on this side of life, leading to all manner of dark thoughts. The dark side of human nature and condition has a way of rubbing off on Scorpio, which can be a serious problem, since many Scorpios find themselves right at home working with troubled people like counselors, social workers, etc. Scorpios thrive on understanding and support, especially from a young age. If you have a Scorpio child, for instance, it's important not to shame them when they express interests that are somewhat unconventional. Compatibility. Scorpio compatibility dictates this sign will operate best in the company of other water signs and earth signs. There is the potential for an explosive, passionate, and intense romance between two Scorpios, sexually and otherwise. Life can be quite an adventure when two Scorpios get together, especially when their urge to explore and demystify the world combines. Even when two Scorpios are too much alike and have flaws, they tend to understand and empathize with each other well. Scorpios also get along great with Cancers, mostly because they share the same sensitivities and comforts, particularly regarding privacy and home. Pisces is another sign that Scorpios will like to hunker down with. The two complement each other well and will often share a lot of the same interests. Among earth signs, Capricorn is distinguished as a good co-worker for Scorpio, and someone that Scorpio can have fun with during leisure. Capricorn's organizational skills and their ability to build will complement Scorpio's investigative and exploratory drive quite well on many projects. In romantic relationships, Virgo is usually a better match, making an excellent partner for the Scorpion. Besides a high likelihood that they will share interests, the two also get along well because they both have a longing for perfection in love. Taurus, the opposite, can be a source of great attraction for Scorpio. This matchup can be a great story of opposite attraction, but issues can arise if both give in to their natural unwillingness to compromise. The volatility that comes with fire signs is something that most Scorpios will not appreciate too much, since this is the opposite of Scorpio's subtle, private, restrained nature. Even though they are right next to each other in the zodiac, Sagittarius and Scorpio have virtually nothing in common. The relationships are akin to those with Aries, even though Mars rules Scorpio just like the ram. There is more common ground with Leos, but the two are still likely to eventually come into conflict when we take their jealousy, their stubbornness, and their passion into account. When Scorpios become a little too accustomed to their solitary, withdrawn ways, running into a sociable and pepped-up air sign can be a pleasant wave of refreshment. However, in the long term, the Scorpion is likely to tire of these signs' changeability. Aquarius is a possible exception, since there is some common ground with Scorpio, but The potential problem is this common ground largely revolves around the sign's stubbornness and love for debate. Love. Well, as you can gather from what we've talked about, relationships with Scorpio can be intense sometimes. This intensity has a physical or sensual side because Scorpio is known for their passion and sexuality. They have a strong libido, partly because Scorpio's sexuality often serves as an emotional outlet. In all, Scorpio is hardly a simple sign, and it can be quite difficult to deal with for some signs. Sexuality aside, Scorpios have simple and traditional attitudes towards relationships on the surface. They want real commitment and don't like to waste their time with pointless flings. They hate unclear, manipulative signals and the games that some people like to play in love even more. With Scorpio, it's all or nothing with no in-between. They expect you to be clear and upfront about your intentions, and they will let you know where you stand. Psychologically intense and often subtly imposing, Scorpios can become rather controlling if their partners succumb to their influence. Scorpio's partner should have a strong mind, character, and know how to assert themselves. Partners who try to lie to Scorpio or try to manipulate them, however, will usually have a bad time. Scorpio is intuitive for solving many problems, but he or she will also be very adept at detecting lies. Scorpio is probably way ahead of you when it comes to manipulation, so you shouldn't even bother trying. That aside, Scorpio is a highly devoted, loyal, and monogamous lover. Other relationships. A lot of what's true in romance goes for friendships too with Scorpio. Because Scorpio likes to be in control, their friends might sometimes find it difficult to assert themselves and their wishes. Scorpio can control things and pull strings ever so subtly, however, that you might not even notice when they're doing it. This is hardly ever because of some harmful intention and simply in Scorpio's nature. Just like in romance, Scorpio will be loyal and very devoted to their friends. The same holds true for Scorpio's relationships with their family. With friendships, the main Scorpio problem is that they can be closed off and unwilling to let someone into their world. Scorpio's trust doesn't come easy, and it will be some time before they start talking about their innermost thoughts and feelings, if they ever do. Those Scorpios who give a little more into their dark, edgy nature can find it even more difficult to make friends, because many people might feel uncomfortable around them, or even afraid. Scorpio's competitiveness and cunning make them naturally adept at navigating highly competitive business environments, climbing up the corporate ladder, or outmaneuvering their competition. When they have a goal and they are serious about it, Scorpios will do whatever it takes to accomplish it to the point of obsession. If they aren't raised with certain scruples and inhibitors, the competitive and cunning Scorpio can employ some shady, immoral means. Folks in a business relationship with Scorpios are well advised to be careful and tread lightly, lest they get stung. At work, Scorpio's curious investigative nature allows them to perform well in jobs where they are supposed to solve complicated problems or even mysteries, which hold certain answers that need to be uncovered. Scorpio loves the gratifying feeling they experience when they make discovery after a prolonged, intense investigative effort. Research, in the broadest sense, is where Scorpions can feel quite at home. Investigative work that exists in private investigation, police crime investigation, or even intelligence services will suit Scorpio well. Not only do these jobs satisfy Scorpio's curious nature, but they can also provide a window into the darkness of humanity, which quite a few Scorpios will have a keen interest in, as we mentioned earlier. Scorpios don't mind dedicating years of their life to making just one discovery, so they can also make great scientists. All of this is combined with Scorpio's subtle warrior nature, brought on by the fact that the sign is Mars's nocturnal home. Therefore, it's common for Scorpios to be in the military and police in capacities other than just investigative ones. The dark side of Scorpio's nature can take them down many dark roads too, such as funeral work, the occult, or even various illicit activities. Getting along with a Scorpio. Well, it's very important to be upfront and direct with Scorpio. This isn't just a matter of clarifying yourself and helping Scorpio to understand you better, though. Scorpios respect those folks who aren't afraid to stand up for themselves or even get into confrontations to get their way. Now, that's not to say that you should be aggressive or purposely pick fights with Scorpio, of course. You should make sure that your wishes are known and that you're clear on what you're expecting from the Scorpion. Besides, honesty is simply a virtue that Scorpios hold in high regard. Remember that they are very intuitive folks, whom some might even consider being walking lie detectors. If you try to lie or manipulate a Scorpio, they will be onto you very quickly. As imposing and strong as Scorpios appear, they still need your support. In a relationship, it's crucial that you respect and foster your Scorpio's greatest strengths, such as ambition and persistence. If they're working hard on achieving a certain goal, then give them all the support that you can. Just don't forget about yourself and your own pursuits, because if that happens, Scorpio might lose some of their respect for you. Chapter 9. Sagittarius, the Archer. The Archer symbolizes Sagittarius. Its date range falls between November 22nd and December 21st, and it occupies a 9th house. While its modality is mutable, Sagittarius's element is fire, and Jupiter rules the sign. Sagittarius is associated with the Sagittarius constellation, which was symbolic of the centaur Chiron in ancient Greek mythology. In Greek mythology, this half-man and half-horse, called Chiron, was the mentor of young Achilles long before he would have had his legendary exploits. Chiron was a teacher of many disciplines, such as music, hunting, and medicine, also while being a prophet. The ancient mythological account is symbolic of many traits we find in folks born under Sagittarius. Sagittarius is an adventurer, a traveler, a knowledge seeker, and generally someone who will go to great lengths in pursuit of underlying truths and wisdom. Chiron's kindness, generosity, and love of mankind are also reflected in most Sagittarians. A centaur's dual nature, being half human and half animal, is another characteristic that can be observed in most Sagittarians. This is because they possess a civilized, intelligent, and sensitive side, while also having one wild, animalistic, and untamed. The latter isn't negative, since it symbolizes the free spirit and sense of adventure that Sagittarians have. The balanced Sagittarian is one that successfully maintains a combination of strong, clean instinct and deeper human wisdom. The end of autumn and the onset of winter that come with Sagittarius's season both influence the sign. As a sign occupying a place at the end of a season, Sagittarius is the third of 4 mutable signs, which influences their changeability and adaptability. Sagittarius's fire element combines with their mutability, bringing energy, enthusiasm, and boldness to go along with the sign's adaptable nature. This makes Sagittarius a natural explorer. Jupiter's influence is also important because it provides Sagittarius with the strength to persevere, giving this sign copious reserves of optimism. Personality traits. Sagittarius is a freedom-loving wanderer, both literally and figuratively. Folks under this sign will love to physically roam and explore the world, but they also can't help but wander across the plains of all sorts of human abstraction, especially questions of life and meaning. Indeed, Sagittarius is deeply philosophical and is usually someone who is deeply concerned about things like the meaning of life, religion, and soul-searching. Sagittarians also are very introspective while also being very assertive and outwardly oriented. Some of Sagittarius's greatest strengths include their boldness and optimism. They are not afraid to take decisive steps forward while having faith in a positive outcome. This combination makes Sagittarians likely to succeed in the many endeavors that they undertake. whether it's professional, personal, or spiritual. On top of being adept at seeking the truth, Sagittarians are also good at sharing that insight, since they make good teachers. Even though Sagittarians can come across as restless because of their constant thirst for adventure, change, and travel, they are still governed by strong principles and are generally known for their integrity. Sagittarians will find it next to impossible to live under rules or adopt roles that conflict with their core values. When something does resonate with their values, though, Sagittarians are more than capable of committing themselves, especially when it's about a cause that they deem worthy. Above all else, Sagittarians are distinguished by their honesty and their sincerity. This honesty, the defining characteristic it is, can be a source of problems, though. When they are thrown off balance, some Sagittarians can become too honest in a way that can be rather brutal. Furthermore, Sag's love of adventure and change is a rather obvious problem when it goes too far. Sagittarians can be notoriously unwilling to commit when you might want them to. They are also liable to change plans on people and shuffle their schedule around so it just doesn't work for most other people. Sagittarius' adventurism can also lead them way too far into fantasy land, and they will have to be restrained and grounded by well-meaning, realistic people. Therefore, it's important to teach Sagittarius children the value of discipline, structure, and organization. Compatibility. For the greatest compatibility, Sagittarians should look toward other fire signs and air signs. Two archers will get along well because they will understand each other's need for independence, exploration, and honesty. Aries is a great match for Sagittarius for similar reasons. Being a strong individual and a hard charger himself, the Ram can handle Sagittarius's brutally honest approach and their need for independence. Aries is a person who won't suffer and make things difficult for Sagittarius when the latter must spend some time away. This is precisely the potential source of problems with Leo, though, as this sign needs much more attention. Leo and Sagittarius can be a great match both in love and elsewhere in life, absent this issue. Libra and Aquarius can enrich Sagittarius's life by making the archer see more value in intellectual pursuits among the fire-stoking air signs. With their naturally curious personality, both of these signs can go a long way with the adventurous and ever-inspired Sagittarius. Archers can also enjoy a deep, complementary relationship with Geminis. Like other air signs, Gemini brings curiosity, but this sign also has a playful or even mischievous side, which most Sagittarians will find highly stimulating. Sagittarius can have significant issues connecting with water signs, though, and will often make these signs suffer. Many archers will find it difficult to appreciate Cancer's stay-at-home nature fully, and Cancers will usually find it difficult to deal with Sagittarius's constant craving for adventure. Pisces, too, will find it difficult to reconcile their need for privacy with Sagittarius's restless nature. Pisces can also be too sensitive sometimes, which doesn't mix well with the lack of filter that many Sagittarians are known for. As for Scorpio, this sign's propensity for jealousy will likely lead to many a fight with the archer. Earth signs often have the potential to restrain Sagittarius, but even they might feel it's a lost cause after a while. Love. Well, the love of independence and novelty is what makes Sagittarians fairly difficult to deal with for some signs. Generally, the more a sign prefers predictability, stability, and routine, the more difficult they'll find it to function in a relationship with a Sagittarius. Something else that can be a problem, especially for sensitive people, is Sagittarius's famous honesty. Still, their honesty is likely to be a perk more than a problem, usually specifically with some signs that crave this honesty and upfront demeanor. Being a fire sign that likes fun and leads a stimulating life, Sagittarius is very passionate. Emotionally, sexually, and in other ways, Sagittarius is the lover who will take their partner on adventures and into all sorts of new territories. Sagittarius lives to maintain their freedom and stay inspired. So a partner who can keep up with these basic Sagittarian needs can find a trusty and loving companion in Sagittarius. Other Sagittarian traits, notably their emotional intelligence, can translate into great romantic successes. Sagittarius will understand their partner's ins and outs, and sometimes they will know and understand their partner better than that partner understands themselves. Sagittarians will help their loved ones on their path to self-improvement and self-discovery, and they might be the decisive influence that sets someone on a new and worthy course in life. Sagittarius is also very trustworthy and generally the person in whom you can confide. Even though a relationship with the independent-minded Sagittarius can appear scary at first, it can be one of the most rewarding relationships you'll have. Sagittarius's honesty also reduces the risk of trying to be with them. Namely, the chances are small that you will get involved in a long-term mistake that will eventually ruin your life. Sagittarius will be honest and open about your incompatibility early on, so the relationship will be over well before things get too serious, if it was never meant to be. Other relationships. In close relationships, Sagittarius will be someone you can trust and count on, but getting to that point is what's usually difficult. It's not a matter of Sagittarius's reluctance or introversion like with Scorpio, though. With Sagittarius, the issue is that they are constantly on the move and looking for new excitement. It's common for Sagittarians to maintain their friendships on and off, so to speak. No matter how close you are to Sagittarius, it's possible that they'll drift away at some point, but they will have no problem popping up again and getting right back into your life later. With signs that are independent and restless like Sagittarius, this isn't a problem, but the more attached and sensitive folks will probably have a problem with Sagittarius's ways. One thing is for sure, though, if you call when in need, a Sagittarius will come. The Archer is very similar in family life as well. In the workplace, Sagittarians get along best with folks looking to work with flexible, creative, and innovative people. The problems start when Sagittarius is expected to uphold a schedule and a rigid routine. As soon as they feel trapped, they're going to buck. Worse yet, the prospect of blind obedience to authority is horrifying to most Sagittarians, so they can be a big problem for supervisors who fail to understand the Archer's nature. Given just enough freedom and space while being reminded of their job, Sagittarians can be excellent subordinates, but they need your respect. The Sagittarius's need for independence shouldn't be a problem. It's through that independence that their qualities, like innovation and unconventional thinking, can shine and produce great results. Harnessing a Sagittarius's nature in the workplace will probably pay off for everyone in the end. Work. Well, the things we've just discussed will determine which jobs are suitable for Sagittarius. One thing bound to motivate and stimulate a Sagittarius is a sense of belonging to something greater, and especially serving a higher purpose. A stimulating, dynamic job that brings novelty and harnesses the Archer's adaptable nature, all while providing a sense of great purpose in the big picture, will probably be Sagittarius's dream job. Due to their fiery element and nature, Archers also enjoy a challenge, so they are unlikely to prefer some job based on how easy it is. Often, the difficulty is not really a factor for Sagittarius. Based on all of this, you can see how Sagittarius might find a fulfilling calling in some form of activism. Activism gives Archers a purpose and challenges them, but it also relies on the innate optimism that Sagittarius draws from Jupiter. Sagittarians also tend to enjoy teaching, although the subjects that they will be interested in can vary from one individual to another. Because of Sagittarius' tendency to be empathetic and their activist inclinations, They can often be found volunteering in different capacities. In fact, archers might dedicate their entire lives to selfless work for the disadvantaged, for suffering folks, without asking much of anything in return. Any job that entails physical travel is very likely to appeal to Sagittarius. You can also consider how that might combine with the preferences that we've discussed so far. Sagittarius can often be the kind of person who organizes humanitarian and relief efforts, or at least participates in them, regardless of where in the world that path might lead him. Getting along with a Sagittarius. Well, as you can see, if you love adventure, change, and you don't mind giving people the independence and the space they require, you have a strong basis to get along with Sagittarius well. Unfortunately, many folks will find it difficult to deal with the archer's restlessness and thirst for change. When a Sagittarius gets bored with their life situation, their romantic partner or friend might take it personally if they don't understand Sagittarius's nature. This can lead to insecurity and a plethora of problems that stem from that. It is unfortunate because Sagittarius's restlessness isn't something anybody should take personally. It's just the way they are. One of the most important prerequisites to get along with Sagittarius is to come to terms with their thirst for change and just accept it. Do your best to keep up, not just because it will maintain your relationship, but also because you yourself might have a lot of fun at learning things you never knew about yourself. However, if you eventually tire of your archer's constant adventurism, then you should tell them that. This is the second most important thing, to be open and upfront. Remember that Sagittarians are also empathetic, and they have a lot of understanding for people. So if they care about you, they will understand that they need to slow things down, which they will do for the right person. Finally, prepare for a lot of honesty on a level you might not be used to. Sagittarians might openly tell you things that others would never dare, and they probably won't even stop to think about whether they are appropriate or not. Getting along with Sagittarius will require some thick skin. Besides, growing a thicker skin will help you in life, regardless of your relationship with the archer. It's just one of those things that your Sagittarian friend or partner will give you as a gift, which you will continue carrying even if they eventually leave your life. Chapter 10. Capricorn, the Sea Goat. Capricorns are born between December 21st and January 20th, making them the last of the four cardinal signs whose element is Earth. Capricorn stems from the constellation known as Capricornus, also known as the horned goat. Capricorn is symbolized by the sea goat, which is a mythological aquatic creature that is half goat and half fish. Capricorn also occupies its corresponding 10th house, and it is ruled by the planet Saturn. The legendary sea goat's mythology goes back to at least the Bronze Age, and different cultures have given different accounts. In ancient Babylon, the sea goat was treated as an aquatic god associated with knowledge and creation. According to Greeks, however, there was Precus, a sort of progenitor of a whole race of sea goats. Precus was father to many sea goats he tried to protect, and the story goes that Precus failed to protect his children and was given a place to live in the sky after this great loss. That place, the Greeks believed, was the Capricornus constellation. Mythology aside, an important influence on Capricorn is the winter solstice that begins in the northern hemisphere with the start of this sign's season. During this time, the sun provides the least amount of light and heat. Capricorns are resourceful, and they always have a plan, just like winter is always dictated to all who wish to get through it. Being the last of the cardinal signs and heralding the beginning of winter, Capricorn is infused with the same initiatory qualities as the other season-starting signs. Capricorn's earth element's nature is also quite clear in many of this stable and level-headed sign's traits. When Saturn is in Capricorn, the planet is in its nocturnal domicile, the diurnal one being Aquarius. Saturn in Capricorn gifts those born under the sign with ambition, discipline, practicality, productivity, and organization. Capricorn is also a sign where Mars is exalted, putting many of the sign's strengths into overdrive and making Capricorns extraordinary individuals. Personality traits. Capricorns generally distinguish themselves as hard workers and folks who are goal-oriented, driven, and industrious. Capricorn is at their best when setting an ambitious goal, charting a path, and getting to work toward accomplishing that goal. They are very adept at creating projects and seeing them through, so they have a mind that's just right for business. Even when it's not all about business, Capricorn will apply a business mindset to many situations in life, and it will often work out just as they had planned. On top of their practicality, Capricorns possess patience and a high degree of realism in their thinking. When the going gets tough and most other people are ready to throw in the towel, Capricorns will stay the course and keep on grinding until that goal is achieved, and then they will relish in their glorious success. Capricorns are also usually good at giving advice to others, thanks to their own stability, level-headedness, and self-mastery. Sea goats aren't committed just to their earthly pursuits and business ventures, but also to the people they care about. They're not always as quick to trust as many would like them to be, but once they've established a connection, Capricorns will be the picture of loyalty. Capricorns are also known to have a strong sense of humor that serves not just to make people laugh, but also to get the sea goat and all those around them through hard times. It's that sense of humor that's often the ace up Capricorn sleeve and the secret to their awe-inspiring perseverance and resilience. As you can probably imagine, one common issue that arises with Capricorns is when their focus on the goal transcends a realm of rationale. Indeed, Capricorn can get so intensely focused on their goal, they do become blind to everything else. This level of stubbornness can be rather destructive to Capricorn and even to the people around them, particularly regarding their relationships. Because of their incredible work ethic and diligence, some Capricorns might hold other people to a very high standard. There's nothing wrong with expecting people to do their best, but when Capricorns take this to an extreme, they can be kind of difficult to work with. One of the darker roads that Capricorns might get on is the road to isolation and solitude. When they are insecure or they get disappointed, they might turn completely to their self-reliant nature and shut the whole world out. Many Capricorns also hide their true feelings, especially pain, behind a veil of humor and self-sufficient attitude. When this Capricorn's friends don't understand them, their life's experience can become very lonely and very isolated, even around people. Compatibility. The signs that can look forward to the best relationship with Capricorns are water and earth signs. Being a realistic, grounded, authoritative person, Capricorn will likely run into quite a few issues with fire and air signs. Those pesky adventurers and dreamers will often have to be talked down and restrained by Capricorns. In all their objectivity and authority, Capricorns can sometimes forget their emotional side, which is why water signs can be so good for them. Cancer and Capricorn, for instance, can function well as a pair despite being opposites. While Capricorns can turn into workaholics, Cancers will focus on maintaining the home front. When these two reach a mutually acceptable agreement and divvy up their responsibilities this way, they can have a very productive relationship, especially in marriage. If Capricorn can overlook Pisces' lackluster organizational efforts, he or she might benefit greatly from Pisces' ideas, which can broaden this sign's horizons. Capricorn also gets along well with Scorpio, and is one of the few signs to have that ability. As you can imagine, Capricorns are right at home with other Earth signs because of their stability, order, and practical nature. When two Capricorns get together, no goal is too high or too ambitious. Because of their strong focus on work, two Capricorns may forget all about romance. So perhaps the best relationship for these two is close professional collaboration. Virgo and Taurus are also highly compatible with Capricorns, but these two have more to offer in the way of fun, leisure, enjoyment, and just all those nicer things in life. So they can both complement the hard-working Capricorn well. Among fire signs, Aries is problematic for Capricorn because the Ram is a headstrong individual with a penchant for leadership, which can easily lead to conflict with the authoritative Capricorn if both of them are uncompromising. Sagittarius is an even worse matchup due to several fundamental differences in values and in the way that these two perceive the world. The situation is largely the same as Leo. These signs might function with Capricorn in some context, especially in business, but their long-term prospects for closeness are kind of slim. Air signs can be even better for Capricorn when it comes to business, but long-term commitments will still often turn sour. Love. Well, the sea goat, being an authoritative and hard-working individual, will require a lot of the same from someone they would consider a worthy partner. Capricorn will prefer to be with someone whom they can respect, depending on how many qualities that they respect can be found in that person. Capricorn will thus probably be the happiest in a relationship of true equals. Even though they are authoritative often and interactions in life, most Capricorns aren't looking for someone who will just submit to the whim with love. On the flip side, they aren't looking for someone who will dominate them either. But they are likely to have more respect for that person, at least. Capricorn in love can perhaps be best described as they would be in other walks of life, a hard worker. This means they can be devoted, loyal, and committed, but they might not show it emotionally. You have learned that many Capricorns won't show many emotions, and the same applies to romantic relationships. If you aren't particularly needy or too dependent on romance, well, this won't be a problem for you. If you're looking for a partner who is strong, loyal, and protective, then the sea goat will be worth the effort. Besides, even the least expressive among them are likely to open up emotionally at some point, even if it takes years. This is because Capricorns view relationships just like they view their work or any other effort in their life. They employ a practical approach, and they get to work, expecting this will yield results. It's a simple concept, yet some of the more sensitive and emotional signs will have a very difficult time accepting it. Other relationships. With friendships, Capricorns are all about quality over quantity. They will usually have only a few friends, but these will be true long-standing friendships that might go as far back as childhood.
Well, we Capricorn something else. That's true. That's why people misunderstand us Capricorn. We always get misconstrued. We get bad rep. We the devil in tarot. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want to talk bad about us, but we one of the best signs in the zodiac. We is the best. But of course, I'm gonna be biased. We are the best sign. We closest to God. You got to come through us first. Then you get here. You got to come through us. You what? You descend through Capricorn, and you ascend through Cancer. You know what I'm saying? You got to come through us to get here. But you're right. We don't love either. But when we love harder than the motherfucker.
These are relationships that Capricorns will work hard to maintain, and they will be very loyal to these people. The sea goat will still rarely be all that warm and fuzzy with her friends, as close and trusting as they are for each other. One of the strongest foundations for friendship, as far as Capricorn is concerned, is intellectual connection. Capricorns are tirelessly devoted to their family. The one thing they can get somewhat sentimental about is family memories, traditions, and the wider history. The sea goat is usually well informed on their family history, and they feel a connection to that long-standing continuity. Somewhat surprisingly, Capricorns ascribe more importance to things like birthdays, anniversaries, family gatherings, customs, and some of those other traditions. The one thing that Capricorns cannot stand is nosiness and attempts at control, whether they come from family or they come from friends. The sea goat carries many of these principles over into their professional life. They are polite, professional, and well-mannered, but they also have a no-nonsense approach most of the time. If you want your Capricorn coworker to have a leisurely chat with you, then you better make sure that the topic you have to offer is interesting and intellectually stimulating. Otherwise, your Capricorn colleague would rather just go back to work. Capricorns are loyal, reliable coworkers who tend to exert authority even when they aren't in any authority position on paper. But they are the person who always seems to have their stuff together better than other employees, and is the one whom everyone asks for advice and assistance. Work. Capricorns are most comfortable when they oversee their work, which means organizing their time, their environment, the details of the project, and any other stuff that goes into an assignment. This means they have no problem getting the job done when told to by their superiors, but best to let Capricorn retain a degree of independence, because they will usually come up with the best approach to do the job right. Capricorns can fit in and function in most workplaces and on a wide range of jobs. They are diligent, detail-oriented, well-organized, meticulous, and perseverant. These things make them great workers, but they also give Capricorn an edge in business when they go in for themselves. Capricorn will be very happy when they are their own boss, and they are successful doing so. Even though they prefer to work alone and they focus on long-term projects, Capricorns can also treat people like projects. This makes them adept at human resources management. With their hard work, Capricorns can patiently work with people to get them on the right path, and with their eye for detail, they usually will sniff out the hidden potential in employees. Capricorns will do fine in all sorts of other managerial positions. As you can see, it's not just about sheer authority, of which Capricorns have plenty. Capricorns simply have a range of qualities and strengths that naturally project authority and inspire confidence in others, making no conscious effort to do so. This makes Capricorns excel at most of the jobs that they take. Getting along with a Capricorn. Well, to get along with Capricorns, you must first learn not to mistake their default friendliness and courtesy with closeness. If you spend enough time with a Capricorn whom you've just met, you will quickly realize that despite their friendly and respectful demeanor, there is an undeniable distance that's always being maintained. One possible way of catching a Capricorn off guard and getting close to them is by inspiring them to have fun. The hard-working, highly practical Capricorn can often forget to have fun and just unwind occasionally. If you convince them to take a bit of time to relax and introduce them to some fun activities that they end up enjoying, this can be a strong foundation for a more meaningful bond. It's a way of catching Capricorn by surprise and leaving a positive impression. For Capricorn, it's not every day that someone swoops in and shows them a side from that they didn't know they had, because a sea goat usually has a very strong command over themselves. Capricorns also enjoy accepting a challenge and learning new things. A good way to get closer to a sea goat is to take them along for some meaningful activities that are challenging and stimulates them with new knowledge or skills. Taking up a new hobby, a sport, or an outdoor activity can be just the thing to make Capricorn want to spend more time with you. Other than that, just remember those things that Capricorns respect, including hard work and stability. Just having a sufficient level of understanding for Capricorn's nature will be enough to keep you two on good terms, at the very least at the workplace or elsewhere. Chapter 11. Aquarius, the water bearer. The 11th sign, occupying the corresponding house, is Aquarius. Chapter 12. Pisces, the fish. The 12th and final sign of the zodiac is Pisces, born between February 19th and March 20th, residing in the 12th house. This is a mutable water sign that is ruled by Jupiter, while also having a modern ruler in Neptune. The Pisces constellation has been observed for a long time and connected to many gods and godlike entities by various cultures throughout history. The sign's name comes from the Latin word for fish. Some of Pisces' associations include Poseidon or Neptune, Vishnu, some Sumerian gods, and even Jesus Christ. The ancient Greeks saw Pisces as a heavenly incarnation of the legendary fish, credited with saving Aphrodite and her child from Typhoon, a sea monster. The fish's distinguished place in the heavens was a divine reward for this action. Since the Western tropical zodiac puts Pisces at the last part of the winter in the northern hemisphere, Pisces witnesses a gradual return of warmth and a growth of daylight as spring draws near. It is a time that heralds an incoming season of renewal, of growth, and of awakening, which is reflected in Pisces in numerous ways. Pisces also draws important influence from its position as the last of the four mutable signs, making Pisces very capable of change and adaptation. This adaptability and capacity for change are further bolstered by the sign's water element. While Jupiter finds its diurnal domicile in Sagittarius, Pisces is where the mighty planet rests at night. The influences that Jupiter has on Pisces takes on a more subtle inward role with Pisces, including the sign's creativity, imagination, and spirituality. Both Pisces and Sagittarius can get very similar benefits from Jupiter, but they will manifest differently between the contemplative, reflective Pisces and the outgoing, bold Sagittarius. Venus is exalted in Pisces because she combines well with the sign's sensitive and spiritual nature. Therefore, those born under Venus in Pisces can have the best of both these highly agreeable planetary energies. Personality traits. Folks born under the sign of Pisces are introspective individuals who like to stay subtle while being very selfless. This inward-oriented sign is deeply contemplative and invested in matters of philosophy, spirituality, and soul-searching. Being the last of the 12, Pisces also often possesses various traits that can be found in the previous 11 signs. Pisces is a rare breed because they manage to be selfless and sacrificial, as they are so focused on their inner questions and journey. Pisces folks are also very emotional, which doesn't necessarily translate as expressive. Simply put, Pisces are attuned to their own feelings and those of others, but it's something that they subtly contemplate on the inside, like most other things. Pisces are often the person who feels other people's pain, but also loves to share in their happiness and joy. Pisces is also a sign that relies heavily on intuition, which is usually highly developed for those born under this sign. And so, the greatest strengths that Pisces has included their contemplation, empathy, and spiritual maturity. And what's more, Pisces excels at sharing these strengths with the world and providing guidance to others. Coupled with creativity, this nature is what makes them good artists, especially poets, painters, and musicians. Pisces make natural advisors and counselors, and one of their greatest satisfactions is to heal another person, especially emotionally and spiritually. As you can imagine, Pisces' tenderness, compassion, and emotional nature can also be weaknesses if they are left unchecked. Pisces can sometimes be too sensitive and take things to heart, even when they shouldn't. In the case of the artistic Pisces, Their preoccupation with their abstract ideas and dreams can make them lose sight of reality, leading to financial and other struggles. However, a Pisces who pursues an artist lifestyle will often not care about their material well-being. A path of spiritual and emotional fulfillment with complete disregard for material gain is one that some Pisces will consciously choose. There, it's a matter of personal priority and not necessarily a weakness. Problems will arise if other people must rely on them. One of the greatest pitfalls that Pisces must watch out for is escapism. Compatibility. The water and earth signs are the ones that Pisces find most agreeable. Pisces' compatibility with other water signs is reflected in the level of emotional understanding and deeper communication that is possible in these relationships. As with most other signs, Pisces can function very well with other people born under the same sign, but it's their very similarity that might eventually lead to problems. Pisces will relate incredibly well with most Cancers because they share a lot in the way of interests, feelings, and overall lifestyle. The relationship between these two will be one that's full of care, commitment, and understanding, so the bond will run deep. Scorpio complements Pisces quite well too, particularly by encouraging them to show more initiative and to leave their comfort zone. Pisces' emotional nature and a knack for philosophical concepts will benefit from relationships with earth signs, because these folks will have a way of keeping Pisces grounded just enough to balance things out. With Pisces, the practical Capricorn will learn how to embrace their own inner mysteries, sparking their introspective interest. In return, Capricorn can help Pisces articulate and materialize many of their philosophical concepts that might otherwise be difficult to understand. Pisces is in polarity with Virgo, which can lead to a strong opposite attraction or conflict. Usually, though, the two will make a good couple or a good team. Taurus is another great match for a strong relationship, especially regarding passion and pleasure, which both signs seek. Pisces will have trouble getting along with most people who fall under fire signs. Quite simply, Pisces likes privacy and will often need to retreat and enjoy some peace and quiet. Being impulsive and often volatile, fire signs can cause a lot of stress and friction in the world of Pisces. The assertive Aries, the adventurous Sagittarius, and the spotlight-loving Leo will often be more trouble than they're worth as far as Pisces is concerned.
I ain't trying to stop. You notice I haven't been trying to stop recording too much things. I'm trying to push through it. I have to circle back and go back and do the other signs that I didn't do earlier. But like I said, you know I was gonna play with my signs, so I did all my major places first, and I'm gonna go back around and do ones I missed a while ago. What I'm saying is, do you know all your places? Do you know all your house places too in your natal chart? You must be can't hear me. Hold on a second. I said, you notice I haven't been trying to stop the recording too much because I'm trying to push through it. What I'm saying is, do you know all your placements in your chart? Do you know your houses? What planets and and what signs are in your house, in your houses, the 12 houses? Do you know your Venus sign? Do you know your North Node and all that? Night, life fair. I'm a nice life fair, but you have a whole bunch of placements in your birth chart.
The disruption will be less extreme with air signs. Pisces might find these folks refreshing and highly stimulating, But it's likely that even air signs will be too changeable and hectic for Pisces' liking. In time, the thing that initially draws Pisces to one of the air signs can easily become the very thing that causes them to part ways. Love. One of Pisces' greatest gifts is that they can build a successful relationship with almost anyone if they are motivated to try hard enough. As we discussed above, they're not compatible with everyone, but they are perhaps more adept at surmounting differences than other signs are. Pisces fall in love easily and intensely when they meet the right person. From the moment they enter a relationship, or even as early as they have feelings for that person, Pisces will commit themselves fully. This is because Pisces generally have a no-nonsense attitude with relationships. They don't want to waste any time with meaningless flings or games, and they will rather get to work immediately, building something that's valuable and durable. Pisces are very emotional and very romantic, but their real emotional depth is demonstrated in their knack for understanding others' emotions, especially those people closest to them. Pisces is perhaps without competition when it comes to how much they would sacrifice for the one that they do love. There is virtually no length they won't go to protect, support, and cherish their partner. It's rare for Pisces to do or say anything to make it clear to their partner that they want the same level of devotion, but that doesn't mean that they don't want it. Other relationships. Well, based on this, it shouldn't be difficult for you to imagine what Pisces is like with their cherished friends and family. While they might not be as focused on building a home as Cancers, Pisces undoubtedly have an extraordinary level of devotion to their family. This goes beyond just the immediate family they might be living with. Pisces enjoys spending time with relatives and another extended family, so they look forward to gatherings. Because of their devotion, their loyalty, and especially because of their heightened empathy, Pisces are very valuable as friends. Even when they have their own problems, Pisces is the person who goes around solving all their friends' problems, giving them the best advice, and always being available to at least hear out their woes. Folks with a close Pisces friend might as well save the money they would have used on a therapist, unless their problems are more than just the blues. This caring, giving nature is why Pisces forget all about themselves and their own problems. Worse yet, there are those who seek to exploit Pisces because of their kindness. Therefore, it is important for the fish to practice assertiveness. This is something they should especially be careful about in the workplace or on various business endeavors. Unless they learn how to assert their wishes occasionally and fight for what they deserve, Pisces can easily be passed over and miss out on many opportunities at work. Let's talk about work. Creativity and people skills are perhaps the main Pisces strengths valued most highly in the workplace. Depending on the job at hand, these qualities can go a long way. However, what's almost guaranteed is that Pisces will be well liked at their job because they're helpful and easy to get along with. In general, Pisces will benefit from a work arrangement that allows them to have some freedom to improvise and get creative. Pisces will do well on jobs that depend on creativity and imagination. But the fish will enjoy helping, healing, and otherwise supporting others. While Pisces doesn't enjoy stringent routine, they don't bode well in risky, fast-paced, or otherwise stressful jobs either. Pisces must put in some effort to find the perfect job for them. Some Pisceans will get lucky in that regard, while others must do their best to adapt and compromise, at least to some extent. The third option, which Pisces sometimes chooses, is to essentially create their own job. If they can adapt to a hectic schedule, Pisces have done well as nurses, physicians, or other healthcare personnel. It's the care for other people that attracts Pisces to healthcare and makes them adept. Pisceans often engage in various forms of private or one-on-one therapy. Getting along with a Pisces. As you can see, getting along with a Pisces is not difficult. Even as a completely new face, you can have meaningful, personal conversations with Pisces. They will give you the time of day and hear you out as if you've known each other for years, and they will give you the best advice that they can. On top of that, they are more than willing to help strangers with concrete action too, if it is needed. Pisces' willingness to freely express what they're truly feeling and thinking, whether it is positive or negative, also contributes to the ease of interaction with this sign. There are two potential problems in the interaction between Pisces and other people. The first one, which we've already discussed in length, is that they can give away more than they're taking. This also is one of the few things they won't openly talk about. In the interest of fairness and kindness, it is your duty to make sure that you are not taking advantage of Pisces, whether they're a friend, a coworker, or a romantic partner. The second issue is their dreamy nature, because of which they sometimes focus more on abstract ideas and dreams than on actual actions. This can be an issue in the workplace, but it's nothing that cannot be solved through conversation. Chapter 11, Aquarius, the water bearer. The 11th sign, occupying the corresponding house, is Aquarius. This sign's season is between January 21st and February 18th. Aquarius is also known as and symbolized by the water bearer, and it is a fixed air sign. Saturn rules Aquarius, but like Scorpio, Aquarius also has a modern ruler, which is Uranus. This sign stems from the Aquarius constellation, which is symbolized by the water bearer, or the mythological Ganymede, according to ancient Greeks. Ganymede was the son of the Trojan king Tros, who eventually served as a cupbearer of the Greek gods on Mount Olympus. In ancient Babylon, Aquarius was associated with Ea, a god known for carrying a vase full of water. Ancient Egyptians, too, had their own ideas about Aquarius, strongly associating it with the life-sustaining floods with which the Nile irrigated their crops. Egyptians believed that the flooding came when Aquarius would put his jar into the Nile. As a fixed sign, Aquarius is under influences that give this sign stability and strength to endure. This is exacerbated by the sign's positioning in winter, which is also the reason many Aquarians find themselves to be more creative and productive during the colder time of the year. As we mentioned earlier, Aquarius is the diurnal or the daytime domicile of Saturn. This allows all of Saturn's qualities to come to light and be at their best. With Saturn in Aries, folks are intellectually gifted and well suited for a wide range of intellectual tasks, while also being gifted with endurance, objectivity, patience, and other qualities. But Uranus infuses Aquarians with inventiveness, adaptability, and a penchant for unconventional thought and action. Aquarius can give some disadvantages to those born under it if the sun enters the sign. The sun is in detriment in this sign because its home, Leo, is the opposite. Sun's radiance and imposing nature are quite the opposite of most Aquarians. Whereas Leos love the attention, Aquarians prefer to stay subtle. And when the sun is in the sign, Aquarians can shy away from attention to the point of letting opportunities pass them by. The personality traits. Aquarians are often humanitarians and philanthropic individuals because they like to keep their eye on the big picture, and as a result, they tend to care about making the world a better place. Aquarians usually have a keen ability to think ahead. and they are often proponents of progressive ideas, both in personal life and regarding society. Aquarius will not shy away from establishing contact with folks who will help them on their mission, so they are often fairly well adept at collaboration and team efforts. Even though it might not appear that way, Aquarians are outward-oriented signs who actively engage with the rest of the world. They are more than willing to commit, and they are the people who see their projects through. Aquarians are also very principled, and they adhere to their set of values, especially in social interactions. Aquarius's greatest strength is probably their intelligence, which Aquarians combine with great objectivity. Aquarians are very good at observing things from a neutral standpoint and passing rational, objective judgment on situations and people's character. Even though Aquarians are usually functional, many will feel like they don't belong in much of a mainstream society. This is something they feel on the inside, usually because they are full of novel ideas, but it rarely impedes their ability to function in society. It's Aquarius's intelligence that can eventually cause problems for them, particularly if they become too intellectual at the complete detriment to all other ways of perceiving the world. Overly intellectual Aquarians can come across as cold and distant, and they might forget to give their loved ones the attention and emotional support that they need. When Aquarians like these encounter situations that require intuition or emotional intelligence, the water bearer might become stuck and unable to find a solution. Aquarians can become way too fixed because of their rigidly logical approach and modality, especially when demanding certain standards from other people. Compatibility. Aquarius can get along well with fire signs and other air signs, while the other two groups may or may not be suitable, depending on the context. Since Aquarius can come across as distant, Sagittarius and Aries will bode well, because they too are individualistic and they won't require copious amounts of attention. The adventurous Sagittarius will appreciate Aquarius's unconventional behavior and approach, since this is an affinity that both signs possess. Aquarius and Leo can make a great couple in a rather complementary relationship, particularly with Leos who get out of hand and could benefit from a voice of reason that Aquarius will bring. As for air signs, the intellectual attraction and the great back and forth that it can produce between Aquarius and Gemini will sometimes turn out to be just that, an intellectual connection. These two can thus be great co-workers or friends, but romance might not be the biggest priority. Intellectually, Aquarians will also have a lot to share with Libras, but the relationship might eventually turn cold if Aquarius grows distant and forgets to give Libra the romantic attention that he or she needs. Still, Aquarius might feel the most understood and comfortable when running into another Aquarian, especially regarding the exchange of ideas, communication, and mutual understanding. When Aquarians get too immersed or even lost in their intellectual and abstract world of ideas, they can often neglect the emotional side of things. Water signs can come in with a lot of positive influence when that happens. Unfortunately, that's precisely what can lead to problems with these signs. It's not just that Aquarius doesn't care much for romance or emotional expression. Sometimes they quite literally can't handle intense emotional displays and requirements from others. Pisces' sensitivity, Cancer's attachment, and Scorpio's jealousy can all be the thing that eventually pushes Aquarius away. Earth signs are even less relatable for Aquarius. Love. With romantic relationships, the thing that can pique Aquarius's interest in something more than anything else in the world is intellectual stimulation. Many things that other signs care about will be very uninteresting for Aquarius. But if someone has something clever and interesting to say to get in Aquarius's mind gears going, then they will have Aquarius's attention. Under this sign, folks are all about having long, intelligent conversations about a wide range of important, deep topics. After Aquarius has been wooed with cleverness, though, they will require more than an intellectual connection to keep that relationship going. Aquarians value honesty and independence. They enjoy getting caught up in their inner contemplations from time to time, and so they will go on about something of a loner streak at times. Simply put, Aquarius wants a certain degree of space, which they will also grant to their partner. Aquarians usually prefer to be in a relationship with someone largely on an equal footing with them, just like Capricorn. But Aquarians are also known to make very unconventional choices when picking out a partner. At any rate, once they pick a partner and the relationship gets underway, the commitment is for the long term. One thing to remember about Aquarius is that they have a very unforgiving nature. It's best to discuss any grievances and other issues ahead of time than to cross an Aquarian or mess up in some other way. Once they feel betrayed or seriously wronged, well, it's probably over. Other relationships. It is common for Aquarians to have a wide circle of friends and acquaintances, but they will only consider a select few to be their very true friends. For those folks, Aquarius is very devoted and loyal. They prefer to be close with clever, creative, and honest people, as these three things are undoubtedly the strongest foundation for a long-term friendship for Aquarius. Aquarians have many friends because they are likable and easy to get along with on a superficial level. A wide circle of friends is more a natural, spontaneous thing than just something Aquarius strives for. Most Aquarians don't really need many people in their life at all. It just often happens that way. They won't really open up to most of these people or let them into their life in some meaningful way, because Aquarians like to avoid being emotionally vulnerable wherever possible. However, with their inner circle of friends and family, Aquarians are open and they will sacrifice a whole lot for their well-being. They'll also have a significant interest in sharing and discussing their feelings. Even though they like some alone time and will take a while to open up, Aquarians are nothing like Capricorns, for example. This makes it easy for Aquarians to fit in at their workplace and to get along with their coworkers. Because of their wit and diligence, they're good workers from a supervisor's perspective. Work. Well, if a job allows Aquarius to use their individual talents and employ their intellectual prowess, then they will probably enjoy the work. Aquarians will be the most productive when they are in a workplace that fosters and encourages their creativity, their imagination, and their ability to think outside of the box. Indeed, Aquarius will often think unconventionally, which can lead to quite a few interesting ideas that can produce great results if they fall on the ears of receptive folks, or if the Aquarian has the resources and the time to implement the idea on their own. Since Aquarians like to be intellectually stimulated, they feel right at home in positions where they can get to learn a lot of things. Aquarians are often scientists and researchers of all sorts. These jobs can also satisfy another passion that Aquarius has, which is their humanitarianism and a strong drive to make a positive change in the world. This can translate to social work and other similar callings. All Aquarians like intellectual stimulation, but their interests will vary, and that stimulus can come from different sources. Whereas one Aquarian might find this thrill in science, another might have an interest in people and their troubles, leading them to become a therapist, a counselor, or something similar. Aquarians can also make excellent team players too, but they need to be assured that their contribution will be acknowledged when the job is done, instead of being diluted with the rest of the team. Getting along with an Aquarius. As we already mentioned, Aquarians love to be intellectually stimulated, so this is always a great path of approach to get closer to them and to establish a connection. The challenging part might be to approach them or start an interaction, but once you get to a certain topic that can spawn a long and thought-provoking conversation, things will just click on their own. Keeping a meaningful conversation going will get you closer to Aquarius's heart. If you win a debate, present a strong argument, or otherwise get your Aquarian to think in a new way or see a fresh perspective, then all the doors will open. As someone who loves to think and contemplate, Aquarius will be excited to learn about something new or see one of their old arguments in a new light. They will immediately develop a great liking for the person who made that happen. Remember that Aquarius values their independence and space, so be prepared to grant them that. This part is important because of you as well, since some folks will often interpret Aquarius's occasional distance as coldness or anger. It's not something that you should take personally, and you should just learn to live with it. Something else you'll probably have to live with is all sorts of quirks that individual Aquarians might have. Often, these quirks are just something that makes them special and likable. Chapter 7. Libra, the scales. Libra, astrologically symbolized by the scales, has a date of the birth range that falls between September 23rd and October 22nd. Libra is an air sign with cardinal modality, and it's ruled by Venus, while occupying the 7th house. Libra's season starts just after the beginning of autumn in the northern hemisphere, right at the autumn equinox. The symbolic significance of the autumn equinox for Libra is in the fact this day will have equal daylight and darkness. This is in line with archetypical attributes of the scales, including equality, balance, justice, and etc. Being the third of the fourth signs of cardinal modality, Libra marks the beginning of autumn and is thus infused with initiative and leadership. Like other signs that herald new seasons, Libra's air element is also very important because it's the source of their adaptability, sociability, and natural flow. Libra is a very active personality that has no reservations when establishing social contacts and exploring the world. Venus, which is a force of peace, love, and diplomacy, can achieve its full potential in Libra. Therefore, not surprisingly, grace, elegance, and amiability are some of Libra's hallmarks. As for the planet that's exalted in Libra, that would be Saturn, the planet that bestows stoicism, wit, discipline, and a sense of duty. This is a very positive and fitting influence for Libra, whom Saturn can turn into an incredibly balanced and gracious individual that others will look up to. The peaceful and diplomatic Libra will come under the detrimental influence when Mars enters the sign, as can be expected. Those with Mars and Libra can end up a little too reluctant to confront and resist.
I got Mars and
Libra's
Gemini.
7th house, also known as a house of balance, or sometimes the house of relationships,
I got
is
Pluto
another
in
important
Libra.
influence in this sign. This is one of the main influences behind Libra's social nature and adeptness. Personality traits. As you can probably gather, Libra is an outward-oriented sign that loves to engage with the world, loves to explore, and especially to make contact and establish connections with the people they run into. Libras also excel at bringing people together, helping them overcome conflict, and just overall improving the cohesion of any team or community that the Libra finds themselves in. As such, Libra is usually an excellent listener, who not only sits quietly while others talk, but truly understands what they're all saying. Libras often put other people first, especially in the interest of a common good, so they have a great ability to empathize and to address people's grievances. Libra's ruling planet infuses this sign with love, balance, and healing, all of which the scales will project onto the world. Libra is also the kind of person who cares deeply about justice, both in everyday life and in the wider societal scope. In all, Libras are highly relatable, they're agreeable, diplomatic, and easy to deal with because they always go the extra mile to sort things out between people. Libras are also often artistic, or at the very least, highly appreciative of art, thanks to their strong aesthetic sense. Just like with other signs, many of the negative aspects of Libra's personality stem from their virtues. When these are taken too far or become warped, Libra's struggle is, in a way, the opposite of the struggle that some more confrontational signs like Aries must go through. Namely, Libras are often in danger of becoming too diplomatic and too wary of confrontation. Therefore, Libras can sometimes fall into the trap of passivity, at least regarding themselves and their interests. Besides allowing others to walk all over them, these Libras will also be overly withdrawn and unwilling to share their true feelings. When they spend too much time bottling down these feelings, Librans can become unstable. Another problem that can arise with Libras is indecisiveness. Because Libras are so diplomatic and careful to consider every side of the argument or any other situation in life, it's easy for them to slip into a state where they spend way too much time analyzing instead of acting. One of the greatest Libran pitfalls, though, is the loss of self-worth. This is why Libras, especially children, should be reminded occasionally that they too are deserving of care, love, and understanding. All those things that the Libra gives to others. Compatibility. Libra's kindred spirits are usually found among other air signs as well as fire signs, while the other two groups can be fairly hit or miss. As usual, air will feed fire, so the relationship with fire signs will mostly be complementary and very functional. Libras and Leos get along like peas and carrots due to their shared outgoing nature and Leo's passion. Because Libra is highly sociable, he or she will likely get along well with Sagittarius's adventurous disposition. The relationship between Libra and Aries will likely be an attraction of opposites, where Libra will have a way of putting a lasso on Aries' hot-headed nature. With air signs, Libras can greatly enrich the lives of Geminis and Aquarians. Aquarius is a natural conversational partner for Libra, as these two will have an endless stream of ideas and opinions to share and discuss. Aquarius sometimes lags behind Libra in certain areas, particularly romance and affection, so Libra might have to show patience in that regard occasionally. With other Libras, this sign can create a range of very interesting, usually highly functional relationships. The combined passion of two Libras can move mountains. As usual, water signs provide emotional maturity and the vulnerability that some signs lack, which Libra can benefit from. Some traits that Libra has, however, are likely to eventually lead to issues. For instance, Cancer will have similar problems with Libra they would have with Leo, mostly concerning Libra's sociability and outgoing attitude. The philosophical and emotional Pisces might end up frustrated by Libra's unwillingness to explore greater emotional depths instead of keeping things casual. As for Scorpio, they won't have much of anything in common with Libra. While Libra can garner some stabilizing influences from Earth signs, these signs will ultimately remain a mystery for most scales. Short-lived relationships might be explosively enjoyable. The sociable nature allows them to make contacts wherever they go easily. And there's always a chance that some of those contacts will have romantic potential. Libra has a way of making their partner feel like the scales are just perfect, an ideal partner. One way of putting it is to say that Libra loves to love. People born under this sign are the types who fall in love easily and intensely.
Yeah, they do.
Therefore, Libras generally have quite a few relationships, more than most other signs, before settling down with someone for good. However, once they do settle down, Libras will demonstrate that they are more than capable of a long-term commitment. Libra's relationships will benefit from their ability and their willingness to make peace and keep things in balance. Libras will naturally detect the traits in their partner they need to balance with, which is one of the main ways they make it all work. In general, Libras tend to be very attractive to others because they always have some quality about them that makes them very appealing. Whether it is good looks, their clothing style, charm, or a combination of numerous factors, Libra usually has no problem attracting a potential partner. They are just very good at making people feel special, which they can do intentionally or instinctually. As much as Libras enjoy giving love, they do expect it in return as well. Unless their partner makes an effort and commits, Libra's natural balancing abilities will probably not be enough, no matter how powerful they are. Other relationships. Libra's balancing act plays an important role in their other relationships, especially their friendships. Libras have a way of infusing their friends with feelings of strength and adequacy that can help them overcome their problems. As such, Libra will be a great source of encouragement and motivation for the people around them, especially to the ones to which they are close. When a dear friend has an issue they are struggling with, Libra will take it personally and make it their mission to get their friend over that obstacle. That outgoing and sociable Libra likes to have fun, so there's hardly ever a shortage of acquaintances and events in their lives. Libra's enjoyment of novelty and experimentation also makes them the kind of friend who will gladly go on all sorts of adventures. They are open-minded folks, which is a quality they can inspire in others, more inert folks, inspiring them to break out of their shell and to explore new territories. Much of all this applies to Libra's relationships with their family. Libra will be very devoted to their family and will often be the person who bridges the divide and sows peace and harmony among relatives and siblings. Maintaining successful relationships in business and work comes naturally to Libra. Sociability goes a long way towards making communication easier, but Libras also make good leaders, and their work can benefit from their creativity. As sociable as they are, though, Libras will often do well when assigned to specific projects that they can work on alone. This in no way affects their ability to establish business relationships, however. In general, Libra's balancing powers and people skills can significantly improve workplace relations, including among other workers. Work. Well, working with other people, especially when helping them, is what Librans do best. Because of their relational skills and a strong sense of justice, Libras will shine in professions that revolve around helping the disadvantaged and the unfortunate. Libra will enjoy fixing things for people,
Yeah, Libra is a
engaging
good
in
sign.
negotiations, and just making things better in general. The stimulation and
Every
fulfillment
Libra I
that
know
Libra
was
seeks
straight.
can hardly ever be found in jobs that entail too much stale routine or isolation from others. Libra needs to stay active and experience new things and challenges, so staying in one place for too long can wear this sign down. Libra's keen sense of aesthetics, creativity, and desire to make everything more beautiful usually make this sign a good fit for all sorts of art disciplines. If a particular medium allows Libra to inspire others, create works of beauty, and express ideas, that art form will be fulfilling for them. In that regard, Libra might also be satisfied with similar work that might not be considered art per se, at least not in a traditional sense. Many Libras will enjoy working as interior designers, for example. This sign's love of justice often leads them on a path to a law career, of course, so they might be found in courtrooms as lawyers or even judges. They might also end up being negotiators in different capacities, even in international diplomatic work. In these and other waters, Libras can also make good translators if they are born with a knack for languages. Making people's communication easier and better is something Libras can do in vastly different professions, including marriage counseling. The aforementioned factors combined make many Libras suitable for politics, so it's common for them to reach rather high in important leadership positions. Getting along with a Libra. Well, being so outward-oriented and expressive with affection, Libra will respond well to the same treatment from you. This means that compliments can get you far with Libra. If they are good at something, or if they're just wearing a very nice outfit, do your best to notice and compliment them on it. Another great way to establish a connection with Libra early on is over something beautiful and highly aesthetic. For instance, visiting an art gallery, a museum, or anything else that entails beauty, especially artistic beauty, is a great idea for a first date with a Libra. Better yet, if it's something that your Libra has never seen or experienced, this will be even better because they enjoy novelty so much. You should let Libra take charge when they have to do something, because their natural leadership affinities must come to the surface sooner or later. The best thing to do is to give Libra some support and subtle guidance. If they're leading on a project, for example, it's likely that they will come up with a bunch of strategies or approaches and have difficulty picking the right one. If you help them make that decision and stick with one approach, you will have provided exactly the grounding influence that Libra needs from you. Overall, Libra might not respond well to harsh criticism, and they also don't like to confront people. You should avoid this approach when trying to get to the bottom of an issue or meaningfully converse with Libra. It's best to catch them in a good mood and be completely open and forthcoming about your wishes, your concerns, and other things that you feel should be discussed. Chapter
All right.
6.
Last but not least, Virgo.
Virgo, the maiden. The Virgo season occupies a place after summer between August 23rd and September 22nd. Ruling the sixth house, Virgo is ruled by Mercury and is an earth sign with mutable modality. Virgo is symbolized by the maiden or the virgin and has been observed and interpreted since ancient Babylon. In Babylon, the Virgo constellation was personified in the goddess Shelah, the goddess of harvest and fertility, aspects of life which were of utmost importance to the Babylonians. This interpretation, especially regarding agriculture, continued to evolve along the same lines through ancient Greek and Roman societies. Being a late summer sign, the maiden occupies a period of decreasing warmth and daylight and shortening days. As the fall equinox approaches, a time of gathering and harvesting comes, which translates to Virgo's earthy nature and adeptness at the organization. Being the second immutable sign, born during a time of shifting seasons, Virgo is infused with adaptability and changeable energy in nature. The sign's earth element provides an influence that makes many Virgos highly efficient and highly industrious. In Virgo, just like with Gemini, Mercury is an important influence that makes those born under the sign quick-witted and analytical. The maiden will likely come under the detrimental influence if Jupiter is in Virgo. Jupiter's influence is observed in Pisces, who is conditioned by this influence to be an explorer of great expanses. This energy will conflict with Virgo's penchant for strict and tight organization and their attention to detail. In practical terms, this placement has the potential to create a version of Virgo with the sign's traditional traits amplified into a negative extreme. Obsessive attention to detail and an extreme focus on control in every situation can be a few consequences. The personality traits. While most of Virgo's qualities and traits can be classified as feminine, receptive, and yin, unlike Leo, for instance, whose traits are attractive, masculine, and yang. As such, Virgo is more oriented towards the inside, making those who are born under the sign more adept at introspection. Virgo possesses a deeper insight into their own inner world, blessing the sign with an elevated self-awareness. Virgos are meticulous, they're adaptable, mentally agile, and usually have at least a couple of distinct skills. In Virgo, you will usually find a shrewd individual who is also a very quick learner. These folks are blessed with an observant and clear mind that allows them to think in objective practical terms. Virgos also like to project this rationality and practicality onto the world, as they enjoy bringing order
I
to
see you,
chaos.
Hills.
People under this sign love to improve themselves
I
and
knew you were
everything and
listening.
everyone around them. But they are also grounded, which protects them from the pitfalls of arrogance and self-importance. The maiden is also communicative and tends to be emotionally intelligent. This, and their willingness to help, is why Virgo is often the person who has valuable advice for others. Virgo will use their technical skills to help others in their physical endeavors, as well as inner wisdom and awareness to give them emotional and other support. One of Virgo's biggest problems is when their analytical, shrewd mind becomes a little too active. In extreme cases, some Virgos might collapse under the weight of their own thoughts, suffering from anxiety, excessive worry, and many a sleepless night. Virgo's natural inclination to serve and heal other people can also become extreme, leading maidens to neglect themselves completely and their own needs. Other extremes that Virgos can go to when they fall out of balance to include being overly critical of others and overly critical of themselves. Compatibility. Virgo is highly compatible with water and earth signs, while fire and air signs might require the maiden to put in a little extra effort if they are to function together in any capacity. Virgo is another practical, organized sign that can benefit from the healthy dose of vulnerability and emotional sophistication that water signs can bring to the table. Like with other signs, Cancer will treat Virgo with a lot of care, but Virgo can return the favor. Virgo's own nurturing and attentive traits will sometimes provide Cancer with some respite, which is a welcome change for Cancers, since they do all the nurturing with most other signs. Virgo will also get along well with Pisces, with whom they will enjoy an attraction of positive relationship. The great polarization between the orderly, practically Virgo and the philosophical, abstract Pisces can make for a wonderful complementary relationship when an understanding is reached. As is often the case, Scorpio can infuse this relationship with sexual magnetism, besides other interests that Virgo and Scorpio might have in common. Among the earth signs, Capricorn and Taurus make excellent matches for Virgo, simply because they do have a lot in common, especially with their emphasis on stability, organization, and practicality. Capricorn and Virgo, both being natural perfectionists, can do incredible things when they put their two minds together. As we mentioned earlier, Taurus also brings a lot to the table for Virgo in the way of common interests. But one of the greatest strengths of these relationships is Virgo's ability to keep Taurus's indulgence under control. Two Virgos are also a great match in most contexts, including romantic relationships. As before, this earth sign finds it very difficult to establish a meaningful relationship and a mutual understanding with fire signs. Virgo shares its mutable modality with Sagittarius, which is some common ground that might lead to solid communication. But the natures and the lifestyles of the two are so fundamentally different that it probably won't matter in the end. Air signs are neither here nor there, since they can bring irreconcilable differences into the mix, but there is still potential for a complementary relationship. Ultimately, these are matched with the most variable outcomes. Looking at love. Virgos are sensual, subtly passionate, and they don't shy away from commitment. Virgo's symbolism of the maiden or the virgin symbolizes the way they are in love as well, to a great extent. Virgos are careful when embarking on a new romantic adventure, and they won't fall for someone so easily. They are very loving and devoted partners, but it might take time and effort to get them emotionally invested. Once Virgo has judged that someone is the right one for them, though, the love will open like a flower, and they will demonstrate immense devotion and faithfulness. The introspective Virgo can appear uninterested and cold on the surface, but those who do manage to get close to them will know that Virgo is incredibly passionate and can be very emotional. This hidden passion is like a buried treasure that will reward the person worthy of getting through to Virgo and becoming their romantic partner. On top of being passionate, Virgo is also helpful and supportive of their partner. Their stabilizing influence can do wonders to change someone for the better. It's common for Virgo to be that one partner who sets a person on the right path in life. Even if the relationship itself doesn't survive long term, the positive influence will remain with Virgo's partner forever. For Virgo, it's very important that they connect intellectually with their partner because they find the relationships predicated on an intellectual connection to be the most stimulating. Furthermore, Virgo is the person who selflessly focuses on learning as much about their partner as possible, including their interests, their quirks, their qualities, and other unique characteristics. In return, Virgo will expect, or at least enjoy, the same. Indeed, with Virgo, it's all about the little personal things. Even an expensive present from their partner won't mean much to Virgo if it's thoughtless, automatic, pre-programmed, or a cliche. Virgo will be much happier if you give them a worthless handmade gift, as long as it has your personal touch and symbolizes your understanding of Virgo's unique character and the connection that you share. Other relationships. Well, with friendships, Virgo is a lot like the crab in the sense that their inward-oriented, reserved nature makes it a bit more difficult to get close to them. They won't be quite as careful as they are when picking a romantic partner, but they will definitely take some time getting used to a person to a point where they can consider them a real friend and be comfortable around them. Virgo is likely to be shy, but that doesn't mean that they don't like to interact with people. But Virgos enjoy establishing a connection with someone new, but they don't always feel comfortable initiating contact. Depending on your character, you might have to break the ice and get Virgo talking. The best way to engage with them is through intellectual topics interesting enough to pique Virgo's curiosity. Once they open up and start talking about a topic that resonates with them, Virgos can open up a whole new communicative side that you didn't see before. In professional relationships, Virgos are generally very good employees in most lines of work. Instead of talking too much or wasting their energy in some other way, Virgo will prefer to focus on their project and get the job done. This will score some good points with many supervisors. They have analytical minds and a strong capacity for critical thought, so they are also good at solving the problems of other coworkers. If Virgo becomes too critical, like they can at times, this can lead to issues both in the workplace and among their friends. Therefore, some Virgos must go the extra mile to filter the things they say and keep their criticisms in the realm of well-intentioned advice. Work. As we already mentioned, Virgos are contemplative, reflective, analytical, and they have a sharp eye for all sorts of details. These qualities make Virgo great for certain types of jobs and determine which lines of work the maiden will find enjoyable. Virgo's earth element blesses the sign with stability and dependability, but the sign is also mutable, which means that they do need their job to be at least somewhat stimulating and somewhat dynamic. The schedule itself need not be dynamic, though. Virgo will operate best when their job gives them consistency and structure, and when their purpose is defined. The thing that will excite Virgo about their workplace is new projects that come as part of that job. Virgos will be very useful in organizing a team or a workplace, even if they don't always feel like being the leader. As such, Virgo will do well as the person a supervisor might employ as a helper or a consultant to tidy the place up. Virgos dislike clutter, neither physical nor any other kind, so they will enjoy putting things in order. Virgos will also do an excellent job in any sort of data analysis or a similar post where their analytical and meticulous mind can sift through information. Bookkeepers, accountants, analysts of different kinds, fact checkers, editors, and other folks who must keep an eye out for the finer details are often Virgos. Folks born under Virgo do well with languages and literature, which is why they often make good writers, translators, and teachers. In general, Virgos are good at passing on the information and knowledge they have and explaining it well to others. Besides teaching, Virgo can do well as a coach, a tutor, or a therapist. Getting along with a Virgo. The first and perhaps worst mistake you can make with a Virgo is to assume that they are cold and emotionless just because they aren't particularly expressive. As we did discuss, Virgos are simply not very open, and they aren't eager to share their inner thoughts and feelings with just about anyone.
Getting no ideas.
The Virgo you've run into may be very emotional, but it will take time for you to uncover that side of their nature. So you must remember to give Virgo space and show them that you care about them through small but consistent actions that prove it. Once you discover that Virgo is a generous person with a lot of understanding and forgiveness for others, it will be your responsibility not to take advantage of these things. Virgo will almost always give you the benefit of the doubt and a second chance. But instead of just apologizing and going back to whatever got you there in the first place, you should strive to prove through action that Virgo was right to give you that benefit of the doubt. You must also remember how analytical Virgos are. They just love thinking, and occasionally they will go into overthinking mode. If you aren't ready to deal with this, you will probably experience quite a bit of frustration when Virgo starts obsessing over something or getting anxious. They can work themselves up into quite a state and give into their insecurities. The least you can do is not make things worse by adding more fuel to the fire. If you know how this particular Virgo can be calmed down, though, try doing that. And finally, be prepared for more criticism from your Virgo, no matter how close you are and how well you do know each other. Virgos don't see this as a way of attacking you or hurting your feelings. They are simply analytical folks that like to keep things as perfect as possible, and they will analyze and comment on you as they would on anything or anyone else in their life. So when the criticism is valid and constructive, take what you can and move on. If not, just do your best to keep things cool and get both of you occupied with something else.
All right, family. I think I'm going to stop it there because I've been going pretty hard today, But I can't help it. Y'all been listening. We Capricorns, everybody know that we are the workhorses, the workhorses of the Zodiac. Everybody know the Capricorns, we about to get in that paper, baby. Everybody know that. Cap and corn, just like Cuz say, go together, baby. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. That's right. If it ain't about making that paper, Capricorns ain't with the bullshit. But I wouldn't just, I did that an hour and 45 minutes this morning when I did the Hebrews, from Hebrews to Negroes, and then then correct that. I always get tongue tied. That's it, because I always been kind of shy, Did from Hebrews to Negroes / white cargo. Did that was about an hour and 45 minutes. And now we are 3 hours and 8 minutes into this. So tomorrow we covered all the sun signs today. So tomorrow I'll be back and we're gonna do all the moon signs. This in your chart. They didn't do the rising signs. I'm surprised because 9 times out of 10, well, sometimes your sun sign might not resonate with you, but your rising sign will resonate with you way more than your sun sign or your moon sign or your Venus sign. See, but 9 times out of 10, I get a message out of all of them. Especially, I get a message out of my sun, my moon, my rising, and my Venus, and out of my North Node, Scorpio. Sometimes that Scorpio be nailing it so damn right on it. Sometimes the Capricorn don't resonate, but all my other placements will resonate. You know what I'm saying? Because the moon sign rules emotions. And in Leo, our rising sign is how we present ourselves to the world. You know what I'm saying? But it's been our sun sign is like how people perceive us. You feel me? So tomorrow we're gonna start on the sun sign. I mean the moon signs. So that'll be another 3 hours. But of course, y'all know I, I more than likely be back in the morning and do uh, part three from Hebrews to Negroes / White Cargo, and then come back after that, probably around 12 o'clock, and finish up this half of the book. Because that'll be after we do the moon signs, we'll be finished with this book. I need to get me some rest. I've been going too hard the last couple of weeks, man. I've been saying I'm gonna get me some rest, and I still be going. But that's just in my nature. I told you that all that air and fire in me, I'm just a unique individual. I've always been different. Different, yeah, I'm different. I always been like that. But it's a good thing I got all see that got good thing I got. Well, it kind of balanced me out, but that air be having because I got the like I say Virgo in the third house, Taurus moon, Capricorn sun. It's a good thing I got all this earth in me to keep me grounded. Because if I had all the air, I'm already all over the place as it is. And then I got all that fire, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. That's why I'm so passionate. Hot. Then that water in me, that Scorpio and that Pisces. The only thing I ain't got in my chart is Cancer. Everything else I got in my chart and in my houses. Cancer is the only thing I don't have. I got everything else. And see that the water signs that rule your emotions. That's why I'm so emotional. I'm an enigma, man. I'm telling you, that's what my birth chart say. I'm gonna show y'all. See here? Let me finish my banana. I, yeah, this is my birth chart right here. See how thick that is? Then break down all my aspects and everything in there. Yeah, that's how thick. That's how thick that is. It tells me I was an enigma. At the end here, it say, oh, and then I have got kite attachments as well as being a grand trine and fire and air. Right? So yeah, right here say multiple planet squares. I mean, this thing is deep. It told me, it says I'm an enigma. I'm trying to find it. And I'm telling you, man, anything, I mean, it nailed me down perfectly. Even down to what I'm doing now, because I'm amazed with spirituality and things like that. It's all in my birth chart. All your fight. I'll tell you, I got I'm Aries. Aries midheaven. So you got to know what your midheaven is too. Aries is my midheaven. Jupiter, Chiron, and Lilith. That's like almost like a stallion. You know what I'm saying? Because I got all that. Girl, I'm telling you, I got love and forever evolving. She said, Empress Goddess, you got to. She said your chart is fire. Everybody said they said you got a chart out of this. I got a very unique chart. I'm a very unique person. I'm a deep individual. A lot of people can't understand just how deep I am. You can't. That's why people don't understand me. My emotions and shit run deep. Everything is deep. Everything deep about me. And then I had to mess around. They say I got the perfect, one of the most perfect, what they call the big three, which is your sun, moon, and rising. Capricorn sun, Taurus moon, and Taurus moon is an exalted placement. They call that an exalted placement. And Leo, right? They say, and Saturn, I got rising and Saturn and Leo. They say, every person I ever talked, especially like, spirit, they say, you got a fire ass damn chart. She said, I can't lie, your shit is off the chain. I said, that's why I'm so difficult to understand. Sometimes I don't understand my damn self. Well, my babies, I had a good time with y'all, but y'all, I'm not gonna say if I'll be back. I'm not gonna say if I'm not gonna be back. Y'all just keep your ears out, cause y'all already know how I do it. I jump back on here in a minute, cause my mind be going 100 miles an hour, just thinking. I always trying thinking of something to do. As always, my babies, if y'all enjoy my content, hit the thumbs up button. Okay, hit the subscribe button. Drop a comment in the box below. As always, my dears, as within, so without. As above, so below. I shave my babies.